Chapter 410. The protective formation of Tingtao's cave on Heaven's Spirit Mountain hadn't been activated yet. However, Lu Ping had set up many temporary restrictions inside the cave. Sitting next to Lu Ping in the cultivation room was an uneasy Hu Lily. In front of them were three innocent children who looked to be around 8 or 9 years old. Lu Ping didn't feel the slightest bit of joy when he saw Sam Ling, who had successfully transformed into a core forging realm cultivator. Sam Ling lowered his head and didn't dare to look up at Lu Ping. "Tell me, who gave you the courage to kill people in the inner sea? You killed a senior sister from the same sect as your father, and you had to call her senior aunt when you saw her. Have you grown so strong after transforming?" Hu Lily's face paled when she saw Lu Ping's anger. She hurriedly said, "This is all my fault. I heard that senior sister Xianing plotted against Lu Qiner and even joined forces with Xian Yu and Reverend Xin Xiang to challenge you. I have some understanding of this eldest senior sister. With her abilities, she definitely doesn't have the ability or courage to scheme against you. There must be someone behind her. That's why she took the opportunity to secretly monitor eldest senior sister while she was releasing the bees on Heavenly Spirit Mountain. She just wants to find out who is behind eldest senior sister." Hu Lily saw that although Lu Ping was listening, his expression was still cold. It was obvious that he was still angry. Hu Lily regretted taking matters into her own hands, but she still felt wronged. After all, she only wanted to help Lu Ping. Now that she had made a huge mistake, Hu Lily had no choice but to explain everything clearly. She had no choice but to continue. "After you went to Frost Island, senior sister cultivated in seclusion all day long. She rarely came out of her own cave, let alone other people. But yesterday, she suddenly received an invitation and left Heaven's Spirit Mountain. I sent Sam Ling to follow and monitor her, but I didn't expect things to turn out like this." "Humph. Is there a need to bring the three of them along to release the bees at Tianling Mountain?" Lu Ping glanced at Hu Lily, then pointed at the three little fellows in front of him and said with a sneer, "I'm afraid these three little bastards can't stay in the Golden House after transforming. They must feel that they are much stronger than before after advancing to the Gold Core stage, and have been looking for an opponent to test their skills for a long time." When Sam Ling saw that Lu Ping had guessed their thoughts, he couldn't help but shrink his neck, and his chin touched his chest. Now that things had come to this, the key point was not to get angry, but to deal with this matter. Senior Uncle Gua Xinshan looked humble on the surface, but he was a meticulous person on the inside. Although the Samling had advanced to the core forging realm, they had only cultivated for a short period of time. Their minds were about the same as 8 or 9 years old children. How could they clean up the matter quickly? They might have left behind some clues that Senior Uncle Gua could trace back to them. Although Lu Ping had nothing to do with this matter and was still on Frost Island when it happened, Hu Lily might not be able to absolve herself from the blame. Even if it wasn't her intention to kill, who was Xianying? Xianying was her senior apprentice sister. Even if they didn't get along, just watching her senior apprentice sister was enough for Hu Lily to be unable to raise her head in the sect for the rest of her life. Moreover, she was the one who sent the Samling out, so how could she explain herself? Then there was the Samling. Samling was raised by Lu Ping since he was a child. Back then, it was Lu Ping who used his own magic power to nurture the 3 spirit snake eggs, which had almost exhausted their vitality, for more than a year. Lu Ping had always regarded Samling as his junior. Once it was verified, it would be a small matter for him to be implicated, but the fate of Samling would be worrisome. Moreover, the identity of Samling as the green sea snake was very sensitive. It might cause another uproar, or even bring disaster to the sect. Lu Ping would never forget the massacre of the Shangguan family in the East Sea by the green sea snake. "Qing why did you want to kill Xianying?" Although Lu Ping was already thinking about how to deal with this matter, his voice was still serious. These 3 little guys had to be strictly disciplined. All these years, Lu Ping had spoiled them too much, causing them to become lawless. It was fine when they were still in the blood condensation realm, but now that they had advanced to the core forging realm and looked like children, wherever they went, they would be the focus of attention. Coupled with their lively temperament, once they appeared in front of others, they would most likely be suppressed by high-level human cultivators. Lu Qing was the eldest sister of the Samling. Hearing this, she said in a low voice, We heard from Aunt who that this person wanted to harm Sister Lu Chiner and might even harm Father. She ordered us to follow that person to see where she went and who she came in contact with. Second brother, third sister, and I thought that since this person is a bad person, we might as well kill her. Then, she won't be able to harm anyone. Lu Ping snorted and said, "You guys are quite bold. Aren't you afraid that you won't be able to kill her, and instead, you'll be killed by her?" Hearing this, Lu Qing puffed up her chest and said proudly, "Qing second brother, and third sister were able to defeat core forging realm cultivators before we transformed. Now that we've transformed, we're even less afraid. That bad person is only at the first layer of core forging realm. How could she be a match for us?" "Arrogant," Lu Ping shouted. "You think you're so powerful just because you killed 2 low-level core forging realm cultivators? Not to mention that there are many crouching tigers and hidden dragons in the cultivation world. No one dares to say that they're invincible among cultivators of the same level. Even if you join forces, few can defeat you. But what if you meet cultivators who have more people than you? What if you meet mid-stage core forging realm cultivators? What about late-stage core forging realm cultivators? What about Fa Xiang Laozu? At that time, you can only be used to subdue demons. Think about where you killed them and who they were. This is your father's sect, so it's your sect. That Taoist Master Xian Ying should have been called senior sister by your father, and you should have been called martial aunt. How could you kill her just because you said so?" Samling had never seen Lu Ping reprimand so severely. Tears welled up in his eyes, making him look very pitiful. Hu Lily blamed herself even more. She pulled the 3 children into her arms and said, "I didn't explain this clearly in advance. You can't blame the children. If the sect investigates, I'll take full responsibility." "Humph." Lu Ping snorted coldly and didn't say anything else. Other than the anger in his heart, his reprimand was also to teach Samling a lesson. Samling was, after all, a demon cultivator. Their wild nature was innate. In their eyes, except for Lu Ping, they didn't care about anything else. Moreover, they preferred to eliminate all threats in the bud, regardless of the consequences. In the future, the 3 spirits would definitely be able to help him gain a foothold in the cultivation world. In the future, even his identity might not be a secret anymore. If he still had this wild nature, not only would he attract a lot of enemies, the 3 spirits might even be killed before he could grow. Looking at the 3 children hiding in Hu Lily's arms and looking at him pitifully, Lu Ping's heart softened. However, he still said harshly, "From today onwards, without my permission, none of you are allowed to appear in front of others." For some reason, Spiritual Master Xian Ying's death did not cause much of a stir in the sect. Lu Ping guessed that it might be because he didn't want to cause panic among the cultivators of the sect, the various forces, and the itinerant cultivators. After all, the demon race could enter and leave the inner sea of Zhenling. This was an incredible thing. However, he became more cautious in his heart. 3 days later, Hu Lily returned to Huangli Island with the swarm of amethyst bees. Lu Ping went to Chonghua Palace. Although Lu Tianling Laozu was not there, the palace was not closed. As Tianling Laozu's direct disciple, Lu Ping naturally had the right to enter and exit his master's cave. He found a few jade slips that his master had collected in his early years, then informed the girl who guarded the cave and returned to his own cave. The next day, a violent spiritual vibration suddenly erupted from Tianling Mountain. Lu Ping was shocked. There was a battle, and it was a battle of life and death. Lu Ping quickly left the cave and fled in the direction of the battle. At this time, the battle had alarmed almost all the core forging cultivators in Tianling Mountain. In the sky, rays of light flew in the direction of the battle. When Lu Ping arrived, the battle had already ended. In front of the cave of an early core forging cultivator called Xianbo, Spiritual Master Xianbo was being taken away by Spiritual Master Guo Xianshan and a few other core forging cultivators. Spiritual Master Xianbo had already passed out. It seemed that he was not knocked unconscious, but was imprisoned after being captured. Spiritual Master Guo Xianshan turned around and looked at the cultivators who were rushing in the sky. He said coldly, "All of you, disperse." Spiritual Master Guo did not explain to the crowd why he captured Spiritual Master Xianbo Lu Ping asked the surrounding cultivators about Spiritual Master Xianbo's background. But all he knew was that Spiritual Master Xianbo was usually quiet and spent most of his time in closed-door cultivation. Lu Ping's intuition told him that this matter was caused by Spiritual Master Xianying, but he didn't know why Spiritual Master Xianbo was involved. 2 days later, a shocking piece of news came from Zhenling. One of the sect's mid-core forging cultivators, Spiritual Master Xian Yun, had defected. Zhenling immediately announced that Spiritual Master Xian Yun was a traitor and put him on the wanted list in the entire North Sea. This Spiritual Master Xian Yun first escaped to Xianling sect's direction through a teleportation array, then disappeared without a trace. Zhenling accused Xianling sect of harboring a traitor, or a spy for Xianling sect. Xianling sect denied that Spiritual Master Xian Yun was hiding in the sect, and even refuted Zhenling's false accusations. Zhenling had no evidence, so he could only leave the matter unsettled. Spiritual Master Xian Yun was nowhere to be seen, and his corpse was never found. Lu Ping knew this Spiritual Master Xian Yun. Speaking of which, Lu Ping didn't have a good impression of him. When Lu Ping returned from the East Sea, he used the Li family to establish his dominance. It was this Spiritual Master Xian Yun and the Yuan and Lin family's core forging cultivators who appeared to stop Lu Ping when Lu Ping was about to defeat Li Xianliang. Who would have thought that this Spiritual Master Xian Yun was actually a spy sent by Xianling sect? Lu Ping couldn't believe it, but he could only sigh at the impermanence of the world. However, the doubts in his heart only deepened. However, the matter didn't seem to be over yet. On the various medium-sized islands within Zhenling's sphere of influence, 3 core forging rogue cultivators were captured by Zhenling, and 1 was killed by a Zhenling cultivator. Just when the cultivators within Zhenling's sphere of influence were feeling insecure, Spiritual Master Gua Xianshan appeared to explain to everyone that the 3 captured were not normal human cultivators, but human pets raised by the Demon Clan. Their minds were controlled by the Demon Clan, and their minds were controlled by the Demon Clan. Then, he invited representatives from various sects and some reputable rogue cultivators to investigate the matter. Only then did he dispel the doubts of many cultivators. Xianling sect had always kept Spiritual Master Xianying's death a secret, but Spiritual Master Gua Xuanshan's series of methods made Lu Ping instinctively feel that Spiritual Master Xianying's death had something to do with it. But now, it seemed that Spiritual Master Gua had chosen the wrong path from the beginning and kept walking down it. Chapter 411. Spiritual Master Chao looked at Spiritual Master Gua Xianshan in front of him and asked in confusion, "Senior brother, shouldn't we adjust the direction of our investigation?" Spiritual Master Gua Xianshan looked at Spiritual Master Chao with a smile and asked in a slightly testing tone, "What do you think, Junior Brother Chao?" Spiritual Master Chao thought for a moment and seemed to be organizing his words. Then he said, "The cause of Marshal Niece Xianying's death was the mastermind who instigated Marshal Niece Xianying to plot against Marshal Niece Lu Shuamping's demon pet. We thought that it was the mastermind's attempt to silence Marshal Niece Xianying and used it as a clue to investigate Senior Brother Xianyun. But when we wanted to investigate further, we accidentally alerted the enemy, and Senior Brother Xianyun immediately betrayed the sect when he heard the news. After that, we set our sights on the spies of the demon race and the other sects, but we forgot that Marshal Niece Lu Xinping, who was tricked by Marshal Niece Xianying, might also kill for revenge." Spiritual Master Gua Xianshan nodded in satisfaction and said, "What else do you think, Junior Brother Chao?" Spiritual Master Chao continued, "Of course, when it happened, Marshal Niece Lu was still on Frost Island and naturally couldn't do it himself. But his girlfriend, Lily, who is also a disciple of Senior Sister Xinshan, was at Heaven's Spirit Mountain at the time. And according to Junior Brother's knowledge, the disciples under Senior Sister Xinshan have always been at odds with each other. The senior disciples look down on the new disciples, and Marshal Niece Xianying and Lily are the leaders of the senior disciples and the new disciples. If that's the case, Spiritual Master Gua Xianshan continued, Marshal Niece Lily is the most suspicious of killing Marshal Niece Xianying, am I right?" Spiritual Master Chao couldn't tell what Spiritual Master Gua was thinking. He hesitated for a moment and said, "That's what Junior Brother thinks. Also, Junior Brother has secretly set up the Heaven Spying Formation in front of the Heaven Spirit Hall. It can detect the situation inside the spirit beast bags of some cultivators. You've set up the Heaven Spying Formation in the Heaven Spirit Hall? Nonsense. Once this matter is discovered, it will definitely cause an unnecessary storm in the sect. Remove it immediately. Yes, but there's no need to remove the Heaven Spying Formation embedded in the middle of the island. When Perfected Master Gua Xianshan heard the words Heaven Peaking Formation, his expression changed. Even though his tone wasn't harsh, it was still unusually serious. Perfected Master Chao knew that Perfected Master Gua was doing this for his own good. Spying on someone else's privacy was akin to sowing enmity, a deep enmity at that. If someone from the sect continued to harass him, Perfected Master Chao wouldn't be able to absolve himself from the blame. However, Jinren Gua still glanced at Jinren Chao and asked in a low voice, "How long has the heaven-peering formation been set up? Did you find anything?" Daoist Chao shook his head and said with some regret, "I just discovered junior brother Xian Bo's abnormality. I didn't expect him to actually join the demon race and become a human pet." Perfected Master Gua Xianshan didn't want to waste his breath on Perfected Master Xuanbua, so he smiled and said, "Didn't Martial Nephew Lu Shuamping's girlfriend just leave Tianling Mountain 2 days ago? Did she notice anything?" Perfected Master Chao's expression was still calm as he said, "No, only the amethyst wasp. But before that, when Martial Nephew Lu returned to Tianling Mountain, his girlfriend went to the Heaven Spirit Hall to pick him up. Unfortunately, she didn't step into the range of the heaven-peering formation. Otherwise, she would have been able to find out if there was a snake spirit pet on him." An imperceptible look flashed across Perfected Master Gua Xuanshan's eyes as he said, "You suspect that his girlfriend left her spirit pet on Martial Nephew Lu?" Perfected Master Chao didn't say anything, as if he had tacitly agreed. Perfected Master Gua Xianshan pondered for a while before saying faintly, "Let's end this matter here." Perfected Master Chao was startled. He opened his mouth and wanted to refute, but in the end, he didn't say anything. Reverend Gua Xianshan seemed to have already guessed what he wanted to say. He slowly said, "Putting aside the fact that it's just a suspicion, if they really did it, then forget about Martial Nephew Hu from before. Although he's a little clever, he's still unfamiliar with scheming, so he left a flaw in his plan. But since Martial Nephew Lu has returned, do you still think that he would leave a flaw in his plan? He's a person who has survived countless battles. Back then, he was chased to the East Sea by the beast tide. But didn't he still survive and return to the sect with his skills? Do you still expect a disciple like him to leave a flaw for you to investigate?" But Perfected Master Gua Xianshan interrupted him just as Perfected Master Chao was about to speak. "The sect can't even protect such a person." Perfected Master Chao seemed to understand Perfected Master Gua's words, but he still couldn't help saying, "But what if he was the one who ordered his girlfriend to kill Martial Nephew Xianying? Are we just going to let them get away with it and ignore the sect's rules?" Perfected Master Gua glanced at Perfected Master Chao and suddenly asked, "Junior Brother Chao, how much do you know about what happened to Senior Brother Jiang and Senior Sister Lu more than 50 years ago?" Perfected Master Chao was stunned. He didn't know why Perfected Master Gua mentioned 50 years ago, but he still said, "I have a rough idea." Perfected Master Gua continued to ask, "The two of them killed dozens of core forging cultivators from various sects in the North Sea and injured countless more. In the end, they even schemed against Fa Xiang Laozu. At that time, it could be said that they had incurred public anger in the North Sea. Why did Martial Uncle Tian Xiang protect the two of them at that time, even at the cost of falling out with all the sects?" Perfected Master Chao only had a rough idea of these things. Now that he heard Perfected Master Gua mention it, he was a little stunned. He said, "They also schemed against Fa Xiang Laozu? Then, that sect should be cherishing talents? After all, the achievements of Senior Brother and Senior Sister are obvious to all." Perfected Master Gua Xianshan nodded with satisfaction. He said, "Yes, they do cherish talents, but not all of them." Perfected Master Chao was shocked. Suddenly, he thought of another person in the sect who was equally amazing and outstanding as Jiang and Lu. Enlightened Master Gua's meaning was clear. This matter had come to an end, and there was no point in continuing the investigation. Even if they could implicate Lu Ping, the matter would eventually be left unresolved. Not only that, it might even attract the interference of the higher-ranked cultivators in the sect. The sect wouldn't ruin a more valuable core forging realm cultivator just for an ordinary enlightened master. Perfected Master Chao was still a little unwilling. He said, "Isn't this a little too indulgent? What if he causes a greater disaster in the future and learns from senior sister Xianqin?" Then, Perfected Master Guo's face turned solemn. He said, "There is another reason for junior sister Xuanqin's matter. Don't ask too much about this matter." Only then did Perfected Master Chao realize that he had spoken too harshly. Perfected Master Guo paused for a moment before saying, "You don't have to worry." Junior sister Xianqin was proud and aloof in the past. There were only a few people in the sect who were worthy of her attention, even someone like senior brother Liang. But martial nephew Lu is different. Not to mention senior brother Zhang's kindness, senior sister Lu is his teacher. Both martial uncles Tianlu and Tianjiang have helped him a lot. Martial uncle Tianxiang also praised him a lot. Senior brother Liang, junior brother Chu, junior brother Xuanhua, and junior brother Xianxin are also on good terms with him. Even I owe him a favor. His closest friends are all outstanding talents in the sect. With the support of the sect, he established a foundation on Huangli Island. These are all his fetters. Jinling is almost his everything. He can't leave. Naturally, Lu Ping did not know that the crisis had been resolved. However, even if there were still people investigating, he was confident that he would not be exposed due to his previous arrangements. Although Samling's identity was not exposed, there were many people who knew that he had a snake spiritual pet. However, these people were his close friends. Lu Ping did not believe that people like Yao Yong would tell on him. He could only do his best to protect him. However, he was currently rushing to the back mountain of the Alchemy Pavilion. How could Lu Ping dare to neglect Tianlu Laozu's decree? When Lu Ping entered Tianlu Laozu's cave, he saw that Tianjiang Laozu was also there. He could not help but be delighted. Could it be Tianjiang Laozu seemed to have seen through Lu Ping's thoughts at a glance? He laughed and scolded, "You're a smart kid. How can a talisman-level alchemy cauldron be made so easily? However, your Na Chuan cauldron is indeed a precious cauldron that has been passed down from ancient times. I believe that in a few years, it will be completed successfully. At that time, our sect will also have a talisman-level alchemy cauldron." Tianjiang Laozu sighed and said, "Not bad. A talisman-level alchemy cauldron. If we had made it 100 years earlier, I'm afraid that Brother Tianxiang would have long become a late Dharma adept. Brother Tiankong might even have a few more years to live." Tianjiang Laozu was a little silent after hearing that. However, he looked at Lu Ping and said, "Kid, I've called you here today because I have a few things to discuss with you." Lu Ping was a little frightened after hearing that. He hurriedly bowed and said, "What do the two uncle masters have to say?" What Lu Ping was most afraid of now was the elders looking for him to discuss. The last time these two discussed with him, the Na Chuan cauldron had been fiddled with by the two of them for many years. Even if they compensated him with a Lin Chuan cauldron, which was also a top-grade alchemy cauldron, Lu Ping still admired his own Na Chuan cauldron. Although with Lu Ping's current alchemy skills and cultivation, two top-grade alchemy cauldrons did not make much of a difference to him. Tianlu Laozu chuckled and said, "The Na Chuan cauldron becoming a magic weapon is a foregone conclusion. It's only a matter of time. However, after the Na Chuan cauldron becomes a magic weapon, I hope that I, Uncle Master, will temporarily hold it for 2 years. After you become a Grandmaster Alchemist, I will return this alchemy furnace to you. How about it?" Lu Ping himself also knew that if one's alchemy skills did not reach the Grandmaster level, there was not much difference between a top-grade alchemy furnace and a magic weapon-level alchemy furnace in the hands of an alchemist. Although he felt that it was a pity, he also understood that the sect would not take advantage of this alchemy furnace of Tianlu Laozu's hands. Instead of letting the Na Chuan cauldron become a magic weapon and wasting it in his own hands, it would be better to let Tianlu Laozu's hands make some contributions to the sect. Moreover, with the two Laozu's status, there was no need for them to say these things to Lu Ping. They could just directly use it. Now that they had proposed it to Lu Ping in such a serious manner, it was obvious that they wanted him to rest assured that the sect would not take advantage of this alchemy furnace of his. Lu Ping nodded and said, "That should be the case. Tianlu and Tianzhang Laozu nodded their heads in satisfaction. They looked at each other and laughed. You are worth teaching. Lu Ping looked at the two Laozus. He thought that they had called him here today to talk about this matter, so he said, if that's the case, this disciple will take his leave. Lu Ping was about to walk out of the alchemy furnace when he heard Tianzhang Laozu wave his hand and said, No hurry, I still have something to discuss with you. Chapter 412. Lu Ping stared blankly at Tianzhang Laozu. Tianzhang Laozu was rather direct. Brat, is the profound sky soul fire with you? Lu Ping knew he couldn't deny it, so he said, Yes, disciple obtained the profound sky soul fire from the Pill Pavilion's inheritance ground. Tianzhang Laozu saw the vigilance on Lu Ping's face and smiled. Brat, what are you so nervous about? Although the old man has his eyes on the spiritual fire in your hand, do you think he'll let you suffer a loss? Hearing that these two Laozus had their eyes on the profound sky soul fire, Lu Ping was naturally unwilling. This spiritual fire was obtained from the inheritance ground. Since Grand Ancestor needs it, why didn't you take it from the inheritance ground in advance? Tianzhang Laozu looked at Tianlu Laozu helplessly. Tianlu Laozu pondered for a moment, then said, The opening of any inheritance ground requires the approval of at least 3 Dharma phenomenon Laozu. You can enter 3 inheritance grounds at once. This was agreed upon by Tianxiang Laozu, Martial Nephew Jiang, and Martial Nephew Lu. At that time, the old man was in closed-door cultivation and had no time to attend to other matters, so this matter was handed over to Xin Yan to handle. But in the end, you obtained the profound sky soul fire. Hearing this, Lu Ping immediately understood that Taoist Master Xin Yan and the others were behind this, wanting to make things difficult for him, forcing him to retreat. He didn't expect Lu Ping to easily subdue the profound sky soul fire with the help of the profound Yuan heavy water. Tianzhang Laozu continued, The profound sky spirit fire is violent in nature, and its effect in alchemy is not as good as that of a mid-grade heavenly fire. On the contrary, it is twice the result with half the effort when used to forge artifacts. Today, the old man wants to use a mid-grade earth-grade heavenly fire suitable for alchemy to trade for your profound sky spirit fire. Lu Ping naturally knew that the mysterious sky spiritual fire was an earth-class spiritual fire. It wasn't the most suitable spiritual fire for concocting pills, but it was still much stronger than the blue spiritual fire. Moreover, since Laozu had spoken, Lu Ping couldn't just reject him. So he asked, What kind of spiritual fire is it? Smiling, Tianzhang Laozu took out a purple flame and said, Purple Qi Eastern Flame. How about it? Looking at Tianzhang Laozu's flickering little flame, Lu Ping's heart skipped a beat. Legend has it that the purple Qi Eastern Flame was a spiritual fire that was produced when the purple sun first rose. This kind of spiritual fire was indeed a rare spiritual fire for alchemists. Although Lu Ping was very tempted, he still said, This purple Qi Eastern Flame is good, but it is only a mid-grade earth-class spiritual fire after all. When stimulated by spirit stones, the profound sky spirit fire is not inferior to a high-grade earth-class spiritual fire. If a late-stage core forging cultivator uses it to fuse with a golden core, it is not impossible to achieve a 6th-grade golden core. It would be enough for me to become a backup cultivator for Dharma idol Laozu. In this way, this disciple is at a disadvantage. Tianzhang Laozu was a little annoyed and said, Is the mysterious sky spirit fire as good as the purple Qi Eastern Flame in alchemy? Do you know how many high-grade spirit stones it would take to temporarily increase the power of the profound sky spirit fire to a high-grade earth-class spiritual fire? Not to mention using it to condense a 6th-grade golden core. Lu Ping didn't say anything. He just pinched a low-grade spirit stone between his fingers, and with a little force, the spirit stone was crushed. Tianzhang Laozu and Tianlu Laozu were people who could tell at a glance that the crushed spirit stone was different. Tianzhang Laozu was a little surprised and said, This secret technique can really stimulate the spiritual qi contained in the spirit stone to the greatest extent, not only for alchemy, but also for refining tools. Tianlu Laozu also asked, What is the name of this secret technique? Lu Ping answered, Spirit Burst Art. The Fornax forefather said, The spirit explosion formula is quite fitting. With this secret technique, it will be much easier to increase the power of the mysterious sky spirit fire. It will save a lot of spirit stones. Moreover, this secret technique is very useful for us alchemists and refiners. Tianjiang Laozu's eyes lit up. After all, no one dared to say they were infallible, whether it was alchemy or tool refinement. During the refining process, the lack of spiritual qi was often the most common cause of failure. Cultivators often needed a lot of spirit stones to make up for it, but often couldn't make up for it. Even if they succeeded, they would spend a lot of spirit stones and the gains would not make up for the losses. With this spirit burst art, not only would it be timely, but it would also save a lot of spirit stones. Tianjiang Laozu pondered for a while and said, "Kid, do you have any other requests?" Lu Ping opened his mouth and said, "Since this disciple can easily raise this spirit fire to a high-grade level, then Granduncle should also take out a high-grade earth-grade spirit fire." Tianjiang Laozu suddenly became angry and said, "Kid, don't even think about it. A mid-grade earth-grade spirit item can't be compared to a high-grade earth-grade spirit item. Besides, isn't the Eastern Purple Chi Flame more useful in your hands than the mysterious Sky Spirit Fire? At most, I'll give you another Heaven and Earth oddity as compensation, and you also have to hand over the Spirit Burst Art. Otherwise, forget it." Lu Ping angrily said, "Although the Eastern Purple Chi Flame is more valuable than the mysterious Sky Spirit Fire to alchemists like me, but to alchemists like you, the mysterious Sky Spirit Fire is also more valuable than the Eastern Purple Chi Flame. Not to mention, as long as you have spirit stones, the mysterious Sky Spirit Fire can be upgraded at any time. Granduncle compensating me with a Heaven and Earth oddity in exchange for the mysterious Sky Spirit Fire is one thing, but the value of the Spirit Burst Art is very important to alchemists and alchemists. This disciple is willing to contribute to the sect, so Granduncle should also take out another Heaven and Earth oddity." Lu Ping was a little nervous when he said this, but he saw the two Laozu look at each other and smile. Tianlu Laozu said, "What a crafty kid. Then we'll do as you say. The Eastern Purple Chi Flame and 2 Heaven and Earth oddities in exchange for your mysterious Sky Spirit Fire. How about it?" Lu Ping suddenly felt that he had been tricked. These two seniors had been waiting for him for a long time, but the words had already been said, so Lu Ping couldn't go back on his word. He could only hand over the white mysterious Sky Spirit Fire to Tianjiang Laozu. Taking the Eastern Purple Chi Flame from Tianjiang Laozu's hand, Lu Ping was very happy and wanted to refine it. To be honest, Lu Ping was very willing to exchange the mysterious Sky Spirit Fire for the Eastern Purple Chi Flame. He was just putting on this kind of attitude to get more benefits. "Kid, what kind of Heaven and Earth oddities do you want?" Lu Ping hurriedly stopped refining the Eastern Purple Chi Flame and thought about the types of Heaven and Earth oddities he could use at the moment. His protective Gang Qi had been refined with 6 kinds of water attribute Heaven and Earth oddities, and its defensive ability was no less than a spiritual magic treasure. It was enough for now. However, Lu Ping's 3 pure true pupils was only refined with 4 kinds of Heaven and Earth oddities. In addition, Lu Ping now had the 7 Thunder Gem Calabash in his hand. He was only missing Heaven and Earth oddities. However, the 7 Thunder Gem Calabash had only refined 3 treasures and was far from reaching the level of a spiritual magic treasure. Therefore, it could only hold 3 kinds of Heaven and Earth oddities of each attribute. In this way, the number of Heaven and Earth oddities of water and metal attributes had reached 3. He could already successfully use the Een Thunder of Een Water and Een Thunder of Gung Metal. If he wanted to refine more Heaven and Earth oddities, he would have to wait until the 7 Thunder Gem Calabash was upgraded to a spiritual magic treasure. However, the 7 Thunder Gem Calabash's treasures were extremely rare and mysterious. Lu Ping himself didn't know where to get such a thing except from the Kuan Fish clan. He had also collected 2 kinds of earth and ice oddities each. Only 1 kind of wood, fire, and wind oddities were left. Lu Ping thought for a moment and said, "I wonder what kind of Heaven and Earth oddities the 2 martial uncles have for this disciple to choose from?" Tianjiang Laozu pointed in front of Lu Ping, and 7 Heaven and Earth oddities appeared in front of Lu Ping. Metal, wood, water, fire, earth, ice, and wind were all taken. Fa Xiang Laozu's collection was really rich. Lu Ping sighed as he looked at these 7 treasures. First, The water attribute was ignored by Lu Ping. This kind of heaven and earth oddities could not be used to condense the three pure true eyes. The metal attribute was also excluded. Wood, fire, and wind oddities could be used. The 7 Thunder Gem Calabash could not quickly form a small magical power, so he could only choose the earth and ice oddities. However, the ice oddities provided by Tianjiang Laozu was none other than the black ice fiend that Lu Ping found on the Frost Island. This kind of heaven and earth oddities had already been absorbed by Lu Ping's 7 Thunder Gem Calabash. Lu Ping gathered his courage and asked, "Grand Master, do you have any other ice oddities?" "This black ice fiend disciple has it." "No." Tianjiang Laozu glared at Lu Ping and said, "You are too troublesome. Take it or leave it." The Fornax Furnace ancestor chuckled and said, "You've got some guts, kid. You're even trying to extort me here. Fine, I have a strange item of the ice attribute here. Do you think you can use it?" Lu Ping was overjoyed. An item that looked like clear water appeared in front of him. He heard Tianlu Laozu say, "This item is called Cold Moon Birth. Although it looks like clear water, it has the ice attribute. Do you like it?" Lu Ping looked at it briefly and knew that Laozu would not lie. He said, I like it. Thank you, Laozu." Lu Ping, who had obtained 2 extra treasures, was in a good mood. He felt that the matter was more or less over. This time, he did not hurry to leave. Instead, he looked at the 2 Laozu in case they had other orders for him. As expected, Tianlu Laozu said, "There is a third matter that I have asked you to come today." Lu Ping immediately became spirited. He now knew that when the seniors of Zhenling ordered the juniors to do things, they never treated them as labor. Instead, there would always be 1 or 2 benefits waiting for them. As long as they could do their best, there would be no time for them to lose out. He heard Tianlu Laozu say, "There will be a gathering of alchemists from various sects in the North Sea. In addition to exchanging alchemy experiences, there will also be some treasures and pill recipes to be exchanged. Each sect has some special products of spirit herbs, and they will exchange what they need. This time, you can go with the old man. When you go back, think about what you need so that you can find it at the gathering. However, you should also prepare some assets." This time, all the alchemy masters of the North Sea are attending the gathering. If you don't have enough resources, you will only be laughed at and our sect will lose face. Lu Ping was also looking forward to the gathering of alchemy masters of the North Sea, so he quickly agreed respectfully. Chapter 413. After coming out of the alchemy pavilion, Lu Ping did not return to Huangli Island. Instead, he turned around and went to the cave residence of the 2nd senior sister. He had a lot of questions in his heart, many of which were related to his master, but it was not convenient to ask. He had to find the eldest disciple of Chonghua sect to answer his questions. Unexpectedly, the door of the farmhouse-like courtyard was locked. She was not at home. Lu Ping thought for a while and took out 2 sound-transmitting talismans. He sent them to the 3rd senior sister Zhao Xuanji and the 4th senior sister Wang Xianjing. Sure enough, after a while, the 2 talismans did not fly back. Obviously, the 2 senior sisters were not in their respective cave residences. In desperation, Lu Ping had to return to Huangli Island. Nowadays, Huangli Island had become more and more prosperous. It gradually became a base for North Sea cultivators to explore the sea and hunt monsters to obtain cultivation resources. Lu Ping greeted Hu Lili and Chen Lian, then called Fang Tao over and asked him about the treasures collected in the market of Huangli Island over the years. Lu Ping looked at the storage bags that Fang Tao handed to him and said in surprise, "There are so many?" Fang Tao smiled and said, "Originally, there were only half of them, but since the Dong family repelled the attack of the monster clan with his mid-core forging cultivation and killed several people, the high-level monster clan cultivators outside Huangli Island began to be suppressed by the cultivators of our sect. Cultivators who go out to hunt monsters are safer, so the harvest is naturally much larger. Naturally, it attracted a large number of cultivators. Especially a year ago, when Jiang Tianlin Laozu was in charge of Huangli Island, it caused the North Sea cultivators to crazily rush into Huangli Island. In just a little more than a year, the harvest of treasures was more than half of the previous 3 years. If our Huangli Island was not just a small island, I am afraid that there would be more cultivators rushing in, and the harvest of the market would be greater. Lu Ping sighed in his heart. He desperately repelled the monsters and besieged Huangli Island, but he was not as good as the Grand Master who was at the Dharma manifestation stage. This was the gap in strength. Since he was back, Lu Ping naturally had to calculate his wealth, so he asked, "How are the spirit gathering places on the island? How are they being developed?" Fong Tao reported with a happy face. Now the number of spirit gathering places on the island has reached 34, and a total of nearly 40 acres of spirit gardens have been developed. Among them, there are 20 acres of spirit fields, 10 acres of spirit grass garden, and 10 acres of spirit materials planted. They are managed by the trial disciples of the blood refining stage. Although Lu Ping was happy, he also knew that the spirit gathering land on the island was almost full. If there wasn't a new spirit vein, or if Huangli Island continued to expand, it would be hard to find another spirit gathering land in the future. Fong Tao looked at Lu Ping, as if he had something to say. Lu Ping smiled and said, "Old Fong, if you have something to say, just say it." Fong Tao asked curiously, "Some of the spirit gathering places on the island are still managed by 2 blood condensation stage disciples. These 2 disciples have been managing the spirit fields ever since Huangli Island was established. I once asked Spiritual Master Hu if he wanted to replace them with the disciples of the blood condensation stage, but Spiritual Master Hu said that as long as they don't leave on their own, they can continue managing the spirit fields." Oh? Lu Ping was a little surprised. There are still 2 people who haven't left? Fong Tao saw Lu Ping's expression and knew that Lu Ping might know about these 2, but he just didn't seem to understand them. He introduced them. One of them is called Wang Qi. After the battle last year, he used 3 blood condensation pills to break through to the blood condensation stage. Now, he manages 4 acres of spirit fields. Other than cultivating with his sword, he also follows my son and daughter out to sea to hunt demonic beasts. Although his cultivation is low, he's not weak. Second-layer demonic beasts rarely escape from his flying sword, and he can even defeat third-layer demonic beasts. He's only been in the blood condensation stage for a little over a year, and he's already at the peak of the first layer. I heard from my son that he'll be breaking through soon. Hearing this, Lu Ping's interest was piqued. He asked, "What kind of foundation bloodline does this person have, and what kind of technique does he practice? Do you know?" Fong Tao thought for a moment and said, "He's good friends with my son and daughter, and I heard that he has a metal element tiger bloodline. The technique he chooses to practice is also very strange. He didn't choose the techniques that many of our sect's predecessors have practiced, but he chose a heavenly kill technique that I don't know where he got it from. I heard that it's perfected to the early Dharma stage, but no one has practiced it before. I think it's a new technique from the sect." Fong Tao shook his head as if he felt that it was a pity. However, even though Lu Ping's interest in the technique did not diminish, he did not ask any further. Instead, he asked about another disciple who had been managing the spirit garden. This disciple, Fong Tao shook his head even more vigorously, is called Tanyu. This child joined the sect a year after Wang Qi, and he has just reached the blood condensation realm. However, he's very timid, and he spends most of his time managing his 6 acres of spirit garden. Oh, originally, Spiritual Master Hu only prepared 2 to 3 acres of spirit garden for each disciple. However, after these 2 disciples reached the blood condensation realm, they continued to manage the spirit garden, so Spiritual Master Hu gave them an extra acre of spirit garden. However, this Tianyu took the initiative to ask Spiritual Master Hu for an extra 2 acres of spirit garden. Unlike Wang Qi, this child doesn't go out to sea to hunt beasts with the other blood condensation disciples. Instead, he hides in the spirit garden to practice his swordsmanship and take care of the plants. Another strange disciple. Lu Ping's interest in this Tianyu was piqued, and he asked, "Is there anything special about this child? Is there anything special about him?" Hu Lily was in charge of all the matters on Huangli Island. As for the cashier of the market and the spiritual farm, he was in charge of Fong Tao. Therefore, Fong Tao was quite familiar with the disciples who managed the spiritual farm. Moreover, they were 2 disciples who had been training on Huangli Island for almost 5 years. Fong Tao thought for a moment, then said, "This disciple called Tianyu manages the spiritual farm the best. Whether it's the spiritual grains, spiritual herbs, or spiritual materials, his output and quality are the highest among all the disciples. But it's no wonder no disciple is like him, who stays in the spiritual farm all day long. Also, although this child practices the sword all day, he never hunts demonic beasts, nor does he compete with other cultivators. After he reached the blood condensation realm, Wang Qi once dragged him out to sea. Along the way, everyone hunted demonic beasts, but he was the only one hiding at the back, looking flustered and afraid to draw his sword. He didn't even dare to refute when others ridiculed him. In the end, everyone pushed him in front of a peak blood condensation realm demonic beast, and this child was forced to draw his sword. However, he only used defensive moves, dodging and dodging, protecting himself from any attacks. Not even a drop of seawater splashed on him, and the demonic beast was so exhausted that it wanted to escape. The other cultivators couldn't bear to watch it anymore, so they killed the demonic beast. But from then on, Tianyu never went out to sea with the others. After sending Feng Tao off, Lu Ping smiled and muttered to himself, "These two are interesting." Then, he turned his attention to the storage bag in his hand. In the years after Huangli Island was reclaimed, even though Lu Ping rarely concocted pills because he was in closed-door cultivation, he still gave a portion of the spiritual herbs harvested on Huangli Island to Luanyu, who lived in the House of Gold. Luanyu was also a talented pill concoction master, so Lu Ping naturally wouldn't let go of this free labor. Luanyu also needed spiritual herbs to hone her pill concoction skills. But even so, Huangli Island had accumulated nearly 1,000-year-old spiritual herbs, and even 70 to 83,000-year-old spiritual herbs, not to mention 500-year-old spiritual herbs. Chenlian even knew that Lu Ping needed a heaven and earth oddity, so he sent a kind of agarwood. It was said that it was formed after being submerged at the bottom of the sea for many years. Lu Ping definitely wasn't as knowledgeable as Chenlian, so he just used the 7 Thunder Treasures calabash to absorb it. Speaking of which, Chenlian had also obtained a lot of good things on Huangli Island. The sea was boundless, like a never-ending treasure house. No one knew how many heaven and earth treasures were hidden inside. When he purchased spiritual materials on Huangli Island, he obtained some top-grade, second-grade, and even third-grade mutated spiritual materials. As for other spiritual materials, there were countless of them. Other than the agarwood, he also obtained 2 kinds of heaven and earth oddities, which he used to condense a minor divine ability. Hu Lily's cultivation had also stopped at the first level of the core forging realm for a long time. With the experience from the previous battle on Huangli Island, she had already advanced to the second level of the core forging realm before going to Tianling Mountain to release the bees. Hu Lily, who had just condensed a minor divine ability, opened up a layer of protective vigor qi around her body. The protective vigor qi around Hu Lily, who had just condensed a minor divine ability, looked pink. This was due to the fusion of the wood attribute 100 Flowers Annihilation that Lu Ping had brought back from the East Sea. However, after Hu Lily broke through to the second level of the core forging realm, Lu Ping gave her an elixir and instructed her to consolidate her cultivation for a year before going into seclusion to refine it. This was the heart-dissolving elixir that Lu Ping had used a large amount of rare and precious spiritual herbs to concoct. Back then, he had successfully concocted 2 elixirs in the East Sea. He had consumed one and left the other one for Hu Lily. When Lu Ping returned to the cave dwelling, he discovered that there was someone in seclusion in a secret room. After asking Hu Lily, he found out that it was Zheng Jie who had just broken through to the core forging realm before he returned to Huangli Island. Now, she was in seclusion to consolidate her cultivation. Lu Ping smiled. This girl had finally advanced to the core forging realm. Although Zheng Jie was usually carefree and didn't care about anything, her friends had advanced to the core forging realm one after another, leaving her at the bottom. It would be a lie to say that she wasn't anxious. This could be considered as fulfilling her wish. Of course, this was also because of the 7-step marked elixir that Lu Ping had left for her. Lu Ping also learned from Chen Lian that Yao Yong, Ji Zixuan, and Yin Zichu had also reached the 3rd level of the core forging realm. Du Feng and Shi Lingling, like Chen Lian, had also reached the peak of the 2nd level of the core forging realm. However, there was still a gap between them and the other 3. Ma Yu and Zhong Jian were a step behind Hu Lili. They had already broken through to the second level of the core forging realm. On the other hand, it was Zhang Zicheng who was more like a teacher. In the True Spirit Monastery, he had thoroughly enjoyed being an immortal. However, Lu Ping had more or less figured out Zhang Zicheng's thoughts. Zhang Zicheng's talent was only average. Perhaps even he himself didn't have much confidence in his own cultivation future. However, he was a kind person, and in truth, he was also a scheming person. He was on good terms with Lu Ping and the other outstanding talents of the Zhenling Monastery's younger generation. In addition, he was a benevolent and charitable person, earning the respect of the monastery's disciples. If he continued like this, then if he had the opportunity to reach the late core forging realm, it wouldn't be impossible for him to become a deacon of the Zhenling Monastery. Even if he couldn't reach that position, he could go out and manage his family. Relying on the connections he had established within the sect, he would receive the care of everyone. That way, he would at least be able to ensure the Zhang family's steady growth for hundreds, or even thousands of years. Lu Ping returned to his own cultivation room and buried the 2 miniature spirit-gathering pearls he had obtained on Frost Island into the island's spirit vein. Only then did he discover that there were now 2 miniature spirit veins among the 3 small spirit veins. After asking Hu Lili, he learned that these were spirit veins discovered by cultivators who were exploring the sea. Because the person who discovered them was a wandering cultivator, he had informed the Zhenling cultivators of the Huangli Island about the location of the spirit vein. In exchange, he had obtained a large amount of cultivation resources from Hu Lili. Lu Ping was overjoyed. With the addition of the 2 mini spirit-gathering pearls, the spirit veins on Huangli Island now had 3 small spirit veins and 4 mini spirit veins. It seemed like Huangli Island was indeed a little small now. Chapter 414. Lu Ping thought for a moment and felt that he should ask Jiang Tianlin Laozu about this. Jiang Tianlin Laozu knew that he was coming and was waiting for him at the entrance of his own cave. Lu Ping bowed and greeted, "Grandmaster." Jiang Tianlin Laozu saw Lu Ping and asked with a smile, "How is the situation on Frost Island? Did you gain anything?" Lu Ping also smiled and said, "I did gain something. I must thank Grandmaster for giving this disciple this opportunity." Jiang Tianlin Laozu asked again, "Then where did you come from this time?" Lu Ping told Jiang Tianlin Laozu about his plan to expand Huangli Island. Jiang Tianlin Laozu pondered for a moment and said, "Huangli Island has become so prosperous under your management that even the sect didn't expect it to be. Huangli Island has indeed reached a point where it is overcrowded. If Huangli Island is to become even more prosperous, it is necessary to expand its scale. It is good that you have brought up this matter. Huangli Island has gathered and distributed a lot of cultivation resources these past few years, and I believe that you have benefited greatly from it as well. Marshal Nephew who sells 2 blood-condensing pills on Huangli Island every month, but your mission to refine blood-condensing pills for the sect has never been delayed. Even though you are a great pill refiner of the sect, you have never purchased any spirit herbs of different ages from the sect's spirit herb garden. It is obvious that you have harvested a lot of spirit herbs from Huangli Island other than for your own use. As for other things, there is no need to talk about them." Lu Ping knew that there was more to his grandmaster's words. Therefore, he didn't interrupt and listened to Jiang Tianlin Laozu finish. When Jiang Tianlin saw that Lu Ping had more or less understood what he meant, he nodded in his heart. However, he still felt that he should make things clear, so he continued, "There are many people in the sect with discerning eyes. Right now, you have your master's face. I am here to guard this place, and you are not weak, so naturally, no one will say anything. However, as time passes, Huangli Island will become a cornucopia. At that time, if all the benefits are still in your hands, it will definitely cause public anger. After all, Huangli Island is Zhenling's Huangli Island, not yours, Lu Ping's Huangli Island. You took the lead in reclaiming Huangli Island, but that day, if it wasn't for your good friend's help, and if the sect didn't secretly command the cultivators from the outer seas to attack Huangli Island, how could you have defended Huangli Island? Furthermore, during the Battle of Huangli Island, although you and I both know that someone must have secretly leaked the news that you were in seclusion, if there weren't cultivators from all over the world to coordinate with you, how could there be only 6 core forging cultivators attacking you? Even if spiritual master Xianchang and the others were dissatisfied with you, they still tried their best to rush over. If this island belonged to you, Lu Ping, would they still come over? This reasoning was actually very easy to ponder. Previously, Lu Ping had already thought of letting the sect participate in this matter, but he didn't expect that Zhang Tianlin Laozu would actually mention the expansion of Huangli Island together with this matter. Since ancient times, wealth had always moved people's hearts, let alone cultivation resources. Lu Ping also knew that he couldn't monopolize the benefits of Huangli Island. Otherwise, as time passed, it would definitely cause others to be dissatisfied, and even the sect would have an opinion of Lu Ping. Even if he didn't have any ulterior motives, he was too arrogant and domineering. After Lu Ping thought about it, he already had an idea in his heart. He then asked Zhang Tianlin Laozu how to expand the size of Huangli Island. Zhang Tianlin Laozu thought about it and said, "The art of moving mountains and filling seas has existed since ancient times, but all of them are world-shaking divine abilities. It is easy to cut a mountain with one sword, but difficult to move a mountain and fill a sea." Lu Ping thought about it and said, "Right now, Huangli Island is only a small island with a circumference of less than 5 kilometers. Disciple also didn't think of expanding it into a small island or even larger. It would be fine as long as it can be expanded by 1-fold. Zhang Tianlin nodded and said, "If that's the case, then it will be much easier. The difficulty of moving a mountain and filling a sea is not in the mountain, but in the vein. Even the old man can pull a reef island over, but if the vein is pulled over, then the old man will be helpless." Lu Ping didn't think that moving a mountain and filling a sea would have such a saying, but after thinking about it, it made sense. The art of moving a mountain and filling a sea wasn't only about moving a mountain. If a mountain was also connected to a spirit vein, then the spirit vein would definitely be cut off, and the vein would also lose its ability to nurture. So what was the use of having a barren mountain? Lu Ping thought about it and said, "If that's the case, are there any seniors in our sect who practice this art?" "Yes." Zhang Tianlin Laozu nodded solemnly and said, "In our sect, the one who has the highest achievement in practicing this divine ability is Senior Uncle Tian Kong. However, because of me, Senior Uncle Tian Kong was heavily injured by an external enemy, and now he doesn't have much time left in his life. However, Senior Uncle Tian Kong has passed down this art. Other than Senior Uncle Tian Kong, the only one who can obtain the essence of this art is your Senior Uncle Gua Xianshan." Lu Ping had heard teachers say that it was because of his great mistake that Tian Kong Laozu was injured. Now that Grandmaster said that it was because of him, it seemed that the matter of Tian Kong Laozu was related to teacher and Grandmaster. Could it be related to teacher and Grandmaster falling out with each other? This thought suddenly appeared in Lu Ping's mind, and the doubt in his heart deepened. However, he was not stupid enough to ask Zhang Tianlin Laozu. So he said, "Grandmaster, this disciple has an art. If I change it to the art of changing seas and mulberry fields, it might also have the effect of moving mountains and filling seas." After saying that, he recited the art of changing seas and mulberry fields of the North Sea's 12 orthodox techniques to spiritual master Zhang Tianlin. Zhang Tianlin Laozu said in surprise, "This art is indeed profound and profound. It must also be a great divine ability. If you can cultivate it to the extreme, moving mountains and filling seas will not be a problem." Lu Ping naturally knew how powerful the art of changing seas and mulberry fields was, but he still asked, "How is it compared to Tian Kong Laozu's art of moving mountains?" Zhang Tianlin Laozu glanced at Lu Ping and said with a smile, "There is no difference in the level of art, but there is a difference in the level of cultivation." Lu Ping smiled shamefully. He knew that Zhang Tianlin Laozu was saying that it depended on the person using the art. The art of changing seas and mulberry fields and the sword technique of 100 rivers into the sea were the only two great divine abilities among the 12 orthodox techniques of the North Sea. Lu Ping had already cultivated the latter to the stage of great perfection, while the former was just a beginner's understanding of it. It was still far from being a great divine ability. Furthermore, the former was not used in one-on-one battles, but a type of divine ability that could be used over a long period of time. Its effects would gradually become apparent as time passed. However, Zhang Tianlin Laozu thought for a moment and said, "The art of moving mountains passed down by Uncle Master Tian Kong has the advantage of being fast, but the disadvantage is that it's too overbearing. It's fine to move some reefs or small islands, but if it's moving a small island, it will inevitably damage the veins of the earth. This art of changing seas and mulberry fields is different. It takes a long time to use it, and the time it takes to see the effects is also slow. However, it might be able to move an island that's larger than the art of moving mountains, and it can also protect the veins of the earth from being too damaged. However, it also takes a lot of energy from the practitioner. I'm afraid that without the cultivation of the Dharma stage, you won't be able to use this type of art." Lu Ping solemnly bowed to Zhang Tianlin Laozu and said, "Thank you for your guidance, Grandmaster." Lu Ping returned to his cave abode and shrunk the House of Gold from the secret chamber. The lone mountain in the House of Gold had the effect of storing spiritual energy. Lu Ping had placed it on the veins of the earth for almost 5 years, and the spiritual energy stored on the lone mountain was enough to last 50 days in the House of Gold without dissipating. After giving some instructions to Hu Lili, Lu Ping returned to Tianling Mountain. He first went to the Chonghua residence to put away the few jade scrolls that he had borrowed from his master's cave abode. After leaving the residence, he paused on the small lake outside of the Chonghua residence. 3 slender figures flashed across the bottom of the lake and scuttled into the House of Gold that Lu Ping was playing with and disappeared without a trace. After that, Lu Ping went to pay a visit to Enlightened Master Guo Xianshan. When Enlightened Master Guo heard the purpose of Lu Ping's visit, he smiled and said, "Although I've inherited the mountain shifting art from junior uncle Tiankong, I'm still not as proficient as him. It's fine if I can move some deserted islands and reefs, but I'm afraid I'm not strong enough to move a small island. Furthermore, in order to avoid damaging the earth veins, I'll have to set up a lot of traction formations. Therefore, I'm afraid the time I need to prepare for the mountain shifting art will be much longer than the time it takes to perform the mountain shifting art." Lu Ping nodded and said, "Disciple understands. I've already refined some pills for late-stage core forging cultivators to recover their true essence on Huangli Island. I've also left nearly 100 high-grade spirit stones for Hu Lili to help junior uncle set up the traction formations. Grandmaster is also on the island at the moment, and he promised to help junior uncle in performing the mountain shifting art." Enlightened Master Guo Xuanshan's eyes lit up and he said, "Oh, you're already able to refine pills for late-stage core forging cultivators? That's really a blessing for our sect. In our sect, the only masters who can refine pills for late-stage core forging are Xinyan and Xianyue. Xianjing and Xiandian, on the other hand, are only able to refine pills for early-stage core forging because of their insufficient cultivation. Once they start to refine pills for late-stage core forging, the success rate is terrible, and it's really distressing. Who would have thought that even though you've just advanced to mid-stage core forging, you're already able to refine pills for late-stage core forging?" If Enlightened Master Guo Xianshan knew that Lu Ping had successfully refined the Bell Cauldron pill and the Heart-Dissolving pill, who was half a step into the Transcendent stage, what would he think? Enlightened Master Guo Xianshan continued, "Since you have senior brother Tianlin's help, it won't be difficult to move a few islands here. However, do you have any new targets in mind?" Lu Ping smiled and said, "Currently, I have 4 islands in mind. One of them used to nurture a small spirit vein, and there are also several spiritual energy gathering areas on the island. One of them was originally in Xianling sect's territory, but it has now been turned into a demon territory, and there is a small spiritual energy gathering area on it. There are also 2 isolated islands that were discovered by cultivators who went out to sea in recent years, and there are also 2 small spirit veins on them. There are also spiritual energy gathering areas on the islands, and one of them even has a mid-grade spiritual material vein, but it's a pity that it's quite barren." Enlightened Master Guo Xianshan looked at Lu Ping in surprise and said, "I didn't expect you to be prepared for this. These 4 islands are not bad either. I heard that you've already gathered 2 small spirit veins on Huangli Island, and after moving these 4 islands here, you can put them to good use immediately. No wonder people say that your Huangli Island is now a cornucopia." Lu Ping's heart skipped a beat, and he said, "Speaking of which, this disciple has something to report to Martial Uncle. Ever since I opened up Huangli Island, I've received a lot of help from the sect. Huangli Island is, after all, the Jinling sect's Huangli Island. After Huangli Island expands, I'm afraid there will be more cultivators on the island, and I'm afraid that it's beyond disciples' capabilities. I hope that the sect can send more cultivators to Huangli Island, open a market, and control the cultivators on the island. This way, the island will be orderly, and the sect will be able to gather more wealth. Enlightened Master Guo Xianshan laughed heartily and said, "Brat, you're indeed a quick-witted fellow. Don't worry, Huangli Island will still be under your management. Although there are a lot of cultivation resources on the island, most of them are for blood condensation and blood refining realm cultivators. Don't forget to take care of the disciples of the True Soul Side Hall. As for the rest, you have the pill refining technique to refine blood condensing pills. As long as you produce a few dozen more blood condensing pills every year, who in the sect would dare to say anything? As for the small portion of the cultivation resources for core forging stage cultivators, the amount of spirit pills you provide to your friends every year is already enough. Who would dare to say that you're monopolizing the island and becoming the king?" With enlightened Master Guo Xuanshan's words, Lu Ping finally felt relieved. The prosperity of Huangli Island in recent years had indeed made some cultivators in the sect unhappy. Some said that he was arrogant and domineering, some said that he was using his power to bully others, and some even said that he wanted to take the island for himself and leave the sect. Although it was ridiculous, the public opinion could melt gold. However, enlightened Master Guo's words also reminded Lu Ping that all the sect wanted was Lu Ping's attitude. After all, most of the cultivation resources on Huangli Island were only for the use of low-grade cultivators. Those who were jealous were only the high-grade cultivators. Although the rumors came from their mouths, they would only spread among the low-grade cultivators who didn't know right from wrong. The high-grade cultivators wouldn't believe them. They just wanted to put some pressure on Lu Ping. Now that enlightened Master Guo Xianshan was the sect's deacon, Lu Ping brought his attitude with him. Naturally, enlightened Master Guo Xianshan would also give him some pointers. How could blood condensation and blood refining realm medicinal pills be difficult for Lu Ping now? As long as he had the spiritual herbs, Lu Ping could refine these medicinal pills with ease. Then, he could give them away in the Wangjin Spirit Courtyard or sell them to the blood condensation realm cultivators at a low price. With that, these rumors would naturally be put to rest, and Lu Ping could even gain a good reputation. Lu Ping cupped his fists and was about to leave when enlightened Master Guo Xianshan called out to him. Enlightened Master Guo said with a serious expression, "Is Uncle Master Fornax going to bring you to the North Seas Alchemy Master Gathering?" As the sect's deacon, enlightened Master Guo Xianshan naturally knew about these matters. Seeing that Lu Ping agreed, enlightened Master Guo said, "The most important thing for Uncle Master Fornax this time is to exchange for Xianling sect's 5 years longevity pill recipe. Xianling sect will definitely raise the price. If you can help, do your best. Our sect's Tian Kong Laozu's lifespan is almost up, and he is about to pass away. Tian Kong Laozu has made great contributions to our sect, and the mountain shifter art was also obtained by the old man from Uncle Master Tian Kong." When Lu Ping saw how solemn spiritual Master Guo was and how respectful he was when he mentioned old ancestor Tian Kong, he replied solemnly, "I'll try my best." Chapter 415. Universe Island was a medium-sized island, but its geographical location was extremely special. In the North Sea, Universe Island was at the very center. Among the numerous islands of various sizes in the North Sea, Universe Island was like a chess piece on the celestial position on a chessboard. Universe Island's geographical location was special, and its name was not bad. However, it was originally an extremely barren medium-sized island. There was not even a small spirit vein within a radius of 100 or so kilometers. Spirit ores, spirit materials, and the like were even more lacking. However, the sects of the North Sea ultimately valued the location of this island. The 10 great sects took the lead and each took out a small spirit vein, forming a medium-sized spirit vein that was drawn to the center of Universe Island. Then, they built pavilions and pavilions on Universe Island. Universe Island became the place where the sects of the North Sea discussed matters of the North Sea and coordinated their relationships. Due to the nourishment of the spirit vein, its special geographical location, and the fact that the sects of the North Sea often quarreled with each other over various matters, Universe Island became more and more prosperous in the North Sea. The 10 great sects each divided up their sphere of influence on Universe Island, occupying the majority of the island. The remaining areas were divided among the other powerful sects and clans of the North Sea. Over time, Universe Island became a neutral zone in the North Sea. Whenever there was a gathering between the various sects, as long as it was not proposed by a single sect, most of them would choose to hold it on Universe Island. On this particular day, 2 cultivators, one old and one young, walked out from the teleportation array on Universe Island. After the 2 of them walked out from the teleportation array, the young cultivator followed behind the old cultivator as they walked towards a palace in the center of Universe Island. This palace was built by Jinling on Universe Island. When Lu Ping followed Fornax Laozu to the entrance of the palace, 3 large words, Snow Mist Palace, were written on the wide inscribed board. Fornax Laozu paused at the entrance and said, "The other Laozu of our sect who is guarding Universe Island is Tian Shui Laozu of this Snow Mist Palace. You should also know that after meeting Senior Sister Tian Shui, you should not speak too much. Just listen. Senior Sister Tian Shui has a strict personality and her words are sharp. Back then, Tianlin and Tianling, the 2 martial nephews, were lawless and out of control, and were always disciplined by Senior Sister Tian Shui. You are the disciple of Tianling, so after meeting her, you should also be careful with your words." Lu Ping's expression was very strange, but he still nodded his head. Tian Shui Laozu was one of the 3 mid-Dharma Laozu of Jinling. She was one of the 2 experts that their sect relied on to fight against Xianling sect's Dao Sheng Laozu. How would Lu Ping dare to offend this old woman? Now, he was afraid that this Laozu would make things difficult for him because of his teacher, who asked him to be a junior, and a junior with low strength at that. If his teacher was here, even if Tian Shui Laozu did not have a good expression on her face, she would at most make a few sarcastic remarks and not make things difficult for him. However, if it was Lu Ping, it might not be the case. After all, he was someone from the same generation as her disciple. How could Tian Shui Laozu possibly put down her face to make things difficult for him? However, this was also hard to say. It was common for these experts to do strange things. Who could say for sure? Lu Ping was worried about his personal gains and losses. After taking a few steps into the Snow Mist Palace, his mind was already spinning with many thoughts. Tian Shui Laozu looked to be in her 40s. She was still a stunning beauty that still retained some of her charm. However, compared to her teacher who was dressed in palace attire and had a graceful and elegant image, Tian Shui Laozu was dressed in a capable and experienced attire. It was obvious that she had a straightforward character. However, it was unknown why Tianlu Laozu described her as old-fashioned and strict. Tianlu Laozu stepped forward and smiled. "It's been a few years since we last met. How have you been, Senior Sister? What's good about it?" The moment Tian Shui Laozu opened her mouth, she became very angry. "On this Huanyu Island, I've been arguing with a bunch of smelly and shameless people every day. I'm so angry that I could die. Unlike you guys, all of you are hiding in Tianling Mountain, saying that you're guarding the sect. There's even one that's even worse. He directly went to the Eastern Sea to look for scenic spots, leaving me, a weak girl, on this Huanyu Island with no one to care about me. This Jinling man is really something." Lu Ping lowered his head. Even with his mid-stage core forging realm cultivation, he couldn't help but laugh at Tian Shui Laozu's words. Tianlu Laozu seemed to have already gotten used to Tian Shui Laozu's way of speaking. He laughed dryly. "Senior Sister is the pillar of our sect. This Huanyu Island is, after all, the place where the Alliance of the Northern Sea sects is located. Senior Sister's presence here is where our sect's confidence lies. If Senior Sister were to throw away her responsibilities, wouldn't this Huanyu Island become Xianling sect's Dao Yan's word? He dares." Tian Shui Laozu's eyebrows shot up as she spat out a few words. "I'll beat him to death?" That's right. Tianlu Laozu no longer had a trace of his sect's prestige as the sect's Laozu. His mouth was full of flattery as he said, "Don't you see what kind of person Senior Sister is? She's our sect's second expert." Lu Ping directly ignored Tian Shuelaozu's disdainful expression. When that Wei Shiren was in the fourth-layer core forging realm, he might not have had Lu Ping's current alchemy skills. However, the crucial point now was not cultivation, but alchemy skills. Tianlu Laozu helplessly looked at Lu Ping and said, "This is also Xuanqin's fault." That year, when Wei Shiren challenged her, not only did Xuanqin win, she even ruthlessly ridiculed him, causing an alchemist master to vomit blood and faint. She lost all her face. Now that the other party is seeking revenge, it is expected. Tian Shuelaozu pointed at Tianlu Laozu and said, "What kind of teacher are you?" That year, that Wei Shiren provoked Xuanqin with his words. That last Xuanqin only gave him a taste of his own medicine. What's wrong with that? On the contrary, you, as her teacher, didn't protect Xuanqin because of those two bastards Tianlin and Tianling, allowing that last Xuanqin to leave in a fit of anger. That's wrong. Tianlu Laozu smiled bitterly and didn't say anything. Lu Ping quietly stood behind Tianlu Laozu with his head lowered. No one knew what he was thinking. Tian Shuelaozu glanced at Lu Ping. He knew that Tianlu Laozu wasn't willing to mention what happened in the past in front of a junior. Thus, he coldly snorted and said, "Brat, it seems like you're also a talent. Sooner or later, you'll know about this. Although you're that crazy last Tianling's disciple, you don't have to be afraid that I, Laozu, will make things difficult for a junior like you." However, Tan Shuelaozu suddenly said sternly, "Brat, if you throw our sect's face in the alchemist assembly, don't blame me, Laozu, for using this as an excuse to send you to the seabed to mine ores for 5 years." Lu Ping suddenly raised his head and looked at Tian Shuelaozu with bright eyes. "If this disciple didn't throw our sect's face, shouldn't Laozu give me some benefits as a reward?" Tian Shuelaozu and Tianlu Laozu looked at this extremely daring brat in front of them in shock. He was actually so calm and unruffled in front of Fa Xiang Laozu. Tian Shuelaozu was so angry that he laughed. "If you didn't throw our sect's face, that's what you ought to do. Don't tell me you're thinking of using our sect's honor to threaten me, Laozu." Lu Ping cursed inwardly as an old fox. He grew up in Zhenling. To put it bluntly, Zhenling was his home. How could Lu Ping allow Zhenling to throw their sect's face in front of other sects just because there were no benefits? However, Lu Ping's spirit was shaken. This was the second time Tian Shuelaozu spoke in such a long tone. As expected, Tian Shuelaozu continued, "If you can obtain the 5 years lifespan pill formula in the alchemist assembly, even if you lose face, I, Laozu, will reward you with something. If you don't lose face and obtain the lifespan pill formula, I, Laozu, will let you pick 3 items from my collection." Deal. Lu Ping's words caused Tianlu Laozu's expression to turn weird. Tian Shuelaozu, on the other hand, was laughing coldly. Lu Ping didn't care about all these. The reason why he went against Tian Shuelaozu was because he was angry that Tian Shuelaozu kept calling his master Crazy Lass. Furthermore, Tian Shuelaozu was obviously standing on Xuanqin Laozu's side. Although Lu Ping wasn't sure what exactly happened back then, he could guess that the reason why his master and grandmaster had a falling out was most likely because of this martial ant Xuanqin. However, after hearing Tian Shuelaozu's words, Lu Ping was overjoyed. Currently, he had a 5 years lifespan pill formula in his hand. He even had a 10 years lifespan pill formula. He was already in an invincible position. Of course, the 10 years lifespan pill formula was too shocking in the Northern Sea. Naturally, Lu Ping wouldn't take it out easily. Chapter 416. The North Sea Alchemist Gathering was held in the North Sea Palace on Huanyu Island. It was a magnificent palace. Lu Ping followed Fornax Laozu to the North Sea Palace. Along the way, Lu Ping had already heard a lot about the entrance test from Laozu. The alchemy world had strict rules. Anyone who became an alchemy master had to be recognized by the cultivation world in advance. This couldn't be faked. However, this North Sea Alchemy Master Gathering was a spontaneous event. Although it was led by the top 10 sects, the participants were alchemy masters from all over the North Sea. The North Sea was vast, so it was impossible for all the alchemy masters to come every time. It was also impossible for every alchemy master to know each other and know each other's abilities. Therefore, there was an entrance test. However, it was just a formality. As long as they recognized each other's abilities, it would be fine. Naturally, no one would dare to offend an alchemy master. However, if one really ran into an enemy during the entrance test, then one could only blame oneself for not being strong enough. However, if he really ran into an enemy at the entrance and was blocked by the entrance test, then he could only blame himself for not being strong enough. This kind of thing had happened in the North Sea before. 150 years ago, Zhenling's sect's enlightened Xianqin became an alchemy grandmaster and followed the Forsaken grandmaster to the North Sea alchemy gathering. Zhenling's sect's alchemy grandmaster, Wei Shiren, tried his best to stop them, but unexpectedly, he was the one who made a mess and enlightened Xianqin barged in. 50 years later, enlightened Xianqin turned around and blocked Wei Shiren outside the North Sea Palace. Another 20 years later, enlightened Xianqin once again participated in the North Sea Palace and Wei Shiren was blocked again. 60 years ago, enlightened Xianqin attended the North Sea Palace for the last time. Wei Shiren once again rushed to the North Sea Palace and saw enlightened Xianqin sneering at him from afar. Lu Ping followed enlightened Tianlu to the North Sea Palace. Before he entered, he heard a voice coming from the palace. Zhenling brought a newcomer this time? Tianlu, is this little guy an alchemy master? Could he be one of your juniors? The rules of the North Sea alchemy master can't be broken. Don't think about favoritism. Haha, there's a good show. Look, old Wei's eyes aren't right. There was surprise, ridicule, and mockery in his voice. However, Fornax Laozu acted as if he had nothing to do with this matter. He walked into the palace without saying a word. Lu Ping was about to step in when he heard a voice say, "Kid, don't go in yet." Lu Ping's expression did not change as he continued to walk inside. A belt of fire was already rushing towards him from the left side of the palace. Lu Ping did not stop and continued to take another step forward. At this time, he was only 6 steps away from the threshold. Heaven and earth mysterious flame? Lu Ping smiled and flicked his finger. The 7 treasures gored in his heart core spouted out a bright yellow flame. The flame flowed along Lu Ping's finger and turned into a rope of fire that shot towards the tongue of fire. Lu Ping's eyes widened in surprise as he looked at the tongue of fire. Hee, not bad. Old man, come and have a try. As soon as he finished speaking, a flame burned towards him. It was another rare fire. However, this flame was different from the previous tongue of flame. Every time it jumped, there would be an explosion in the air. Lu Ping squinted his eyes. A black flame flew out from the thumb-sized golden house hanging on his neck. It was like a burning black curtain that rushed towards the exploding flame. Fortunately, he had caught Lu Qin this time. Because Tianling Laozu was guarding the spirit mine on Frost Island and Tianlin Laozu was guarding Huangli Island, Jiang Xianxian suddenly became a child without her parents. Lu Ping was not worried that someone would plot against his little junior sister, but he was worried that someone would plot against him through Lu Qin. Therefore, he could only bring his little junior sister to Huangli Island and let Tianlin Laozu have a headache over his daughter. Lu Qiner was brought here by Lu Ping. This time, he could use the dark prison poisonous fire of the ice and fire rings to fight against the enemy. Dark prison poisonous fire. The cultivators in the palace exclaimed. The exploding flame suddenly stopped and the sound of the exploding flame became more frequent. It intertwined with the dark prison poisonous fire and fought against each other. The dark prison poisonous fire was famous among the rare fires. It was not because it was suitable for alchemy, but because it was difficult to deal with and special. First, it could only be used to make poisonous pills. Second, it could pollute the fire seed of other rare fires. One of the most frightening things in alchemy was that the fire seed was not pure. Not only would it affect the success rate, but if it was poisoned, it would become a poisonous pill. That would be a big problem. As expected, when Lu Ping's dark prison poisonous fire appeared, the second cultivator in the palace looked as if he had been hit by bad luck. He muttered to himself, "This is a big loss. Even if the fire seed is not polluted, I have to check it again just in case. I'm afraid this fire seed can't be used for another year or 2. Lu Ping took advantage of the shock of the dark prison poisonous fire and took another step forward. At this time, He was only 5 steps away from the door of North Sea Palace. The moment Lu Ping's foot touched the ground, 2 flames flew towards him. From afar, 2 waves of heat attacked him. Lu Ping looked at the 2 waves of fire, and his brows tightened. One was cauldron fire, and the other was obviously a small fire-type technique. These people really resent me. Didn't I just reach this realm a few years earlier than them? Is there a need to be so jealous? Lu Ping could not help but resent them. He turned his right hand and touched his chest while performing a hand seal. A core fire flew out as well, but the core fire was faintly divided into 3 colors. It was the true Samadhi fire minor fire that Lu Qiner had yet to master. However, seeing that the core fire was divided into 3 colors, it was clear that she had obtained 2 fire seeds. He heard that Lu Qiner had been playing with little junior sister all this time, and her teacher and grandmaster had given her treasures. Could it be 2 fire seeds? Lu Ping cursed to himself. She had only been playing with little junior sister all day, and she had obtained 2 fire seeds. Even Lu Ping would be jealous of such a good thing. Lu Ping did not think that the items given by Fa Xiang Laozu would be ordinary. As for the other fire minor technique, Lu Ping cast Luan Yu's technique of combining the 3 fires on the Wudong tree into one to block the fire minor technique. Lu Ping took another step forward, and he was only 4 steps away from the door. At the spur of the moment, someone in the palace said, "Fine, the old man has made a move too, but he's bullying the young." As soon as the voice died away, a green mist flew toward the flames that were fighting Lu Ping. Fornax Laozu's snort was vaguely heard from the palace. "Imuchi," Lu Ping cursed internally. "Which old bastard is making a move again? He'd rather spend money than let me have an easy time." The Iwood Chi was a wood elemental heaven and earth mysterious treasure. It had many uses, one of which was the ability to ignite the fire seed and increase the power of the fire. However, this was even more extravagant than when Luan Yu used a second-grade mutated wood elemental heaven and earth mysterious treasure to ignite the fire seed. Although it was a heaven and earth mysterious treasure, there was no point in burning it. With the help of the Iwood Chi, the few sparks that were entangled with Lu Ping suddenly grew stronger and surged towards him. Lu Ping's heart ached, but he could not be bothered at the moment. He touched his storage ring with his right hand, and 2 of the 8 high-grade spirit stones flew toward each of the 4 flames that he was controlling. "Explode!" Lu Ping shouted internally. The 4 flames surged after he activated the spirit explosion technique, and they resisted the flames that were helped by the Imu Chi. Hey, this secret technique that stimulates the spiritual stone's spiritual chi is interesting. It's more than interesting. It's simply extraordinary. Fornax, when did Jinling find such a technique? Are you willing to exchange it at this meeting? The old man happens to have a fire seed that he doesn't need. What do you think? The people sitting in the palace were all North Sea alchemy grandmasters and above. Naturally, they knew about Lu Ping's spirit explosion technique. They immediately asked Fornax Laozu about it, and were even eager to exchange for this secret technique. However, Fornax Laozu refused all of them. As a Grandmaster Alchemy Forging Master, how could he not know the long-term benefits of the spirit explosion technique? A fire seed? To hell with it. Taking advantage of the power of the spirit explosion technique, Lu Ping took another step forward. At this time, he was only 3 steps away from the North Sea Palace. At this moment, a cold snort mixed with a cold intent, as if it had turned into a sharp thorn, stabbed towards Lu Ping's divine sense. Lu Ping sneered. Finally couldn't help but make a move. Lu Ping was able to use the water attribute cultivation method to improve his alchemy technique to such a level. One of the biggest reasons was that his divine sense was far superior to ordinary people. At this time, Lu Ping's cultivation was only at the middle stage of core forging, but his divine sense was not inferior to that of a late-stage core forging cultivator. In fact, it was even stronger than an ordinary late-stage core forging cultivator. This time, the cultivator who attacked Lu Ping was a bit stronger than Lu Ping due to his cultivation and identity as an alchemy master. However, it was not much stronger. Lu Ping tried his best to defend, and the other party was helpless. However, as a result, Lu Ping was still a step too slow. In the North Sea Palace, A sea blue flame passed through the entanglement of several flames in the air and flew towards Lu Ping. Heaven and earth spirit fire. In the end, that person still used this method. Sea blue flame, a high-grade mystic class heaven and earth spirit fire. Lu Ping's mind moved, and the same blue flame flew out from Lu Ping's hand. Oh, this kid has a lot of good things in his hands. It seems that since Xianqin left, Tianlu and the others have put all their effort into cultivating this kid. You even found the blue spiritual fire for him. This kind of spirit fire is the most suitable for alchemy among the mystic class spirit fires. Ordinary low-grade spirit fires are not as good as it. Listening to the question of an alchemy master from the Zonglang sect, Tianlu Laozu smiled faintly and did not answer. It seemed as if he agreed, but in fact, even Tianlu Laozu secretly sighed that this kid was lucky. He had only been in the cultivation world for a few years, and he already had such a fortuitous encounter. The blue spiritual fire resisted the sea blue flame, and Lu Ping finally took the fifth step. The North Sea Palace was close at hand. Chapter 417. Under the siege of several people, Lu Ping easily walked to a place only 2 steps away from the North Sea Palace. It was obviously beyond the expectations of the alchemy grandmasters in the North Sea Palace. Just as Lu Ping was about to set off again, a colorful mist surrounded Lu Ping. Lu Ping's heart moved, and a layer of golden protective aura floated around his body. When the colorful mist came into contact with Lu Ping's myriad meteoric poison shield, it was like a moth flying into a flame, gathering on the myriad meteoric poison shield. Then, the mist was stripped of its toxins and disappeared in the air. Hey, this kid really has a way to restrain the poisonous mist, and it's so fast. My 5-colored cold shield is quite powerful. Ordinary core forging cultivators would have a hard time dealing with it, but he broke it so easily. 5-colored cold shield? Lu Ping shook his head disdainfully. This kind of thing could only be used as fertilizer for the myriad meteoric poison shield. At this moment, another orange flame flew over. Lu Ping heard Fornax Laozu say angrily from the palace, Wei Shiren, 2 heaven and earth spirit fires. Do you still have any face as an alchemy grandmaster? The hall unexpectedly quieted down, leaving only a few flames rising at the door, changing into various shapes. However, Lu Ping could still feel that when the orange flame flew over, the power of the flames that blocked him immediately decreased a lot, and their attacks also slowed down. Lu Ping smiled slightly. It seemed that Grandmaster Wei Shiren really did not have the temperament of a Grandmaster. However, this orange flame was actually a high-grade Earth-step meteor flying fire, and it was quite difficult to resist. Right at this moment, a slightly awkward laugh rang out from within the hall. This young friend of yours isn't bad. He must be extremely powerful to have such accomplishments at such a young age. Martial nephew Shiren also wants to see exactly what kind of abilities this young friend possesses. I believe everyone here is rather curious as well. Fornax Laozu sneered. I'm ashamed to be associated with you. To be honest, these methods were really not enough for Lu Ping. As long as Lu Ping brandished the golden scale sword and charged forward, even if he was no match for these alchemy masters, it would not be a problem for him to rush into the North Sea Palace. However, to enter the North Sea Palace, one had to use the methods of alchemy masters, and Lu Ping's water attribute cultivation method was inherently lacking in controlling these spiritual fires. He could not display the full power of the spiritual fires at all. He could only rely on his extraordinarily strong real essence and tyrannical divine sense to tangle with these people. Fortunately, although there were many who tried to stop Lu Ping from entering the North Sea Palace, other than Wei Shiren, no one was willing to make an enemy out of Lu Ping. Besides, with Jinling sect's influence, the crowd naturally wouldn't go all out against Lu Ping. However, they also didn't want a junior like Lu Ping to enter the North Sea Palace so easily. Which one of the alchemy masters in the North Sea Palace had not struggled in the cultivation world for hundreds of years before they had the strength and status they had today? Lu Ping was only a little guy who had only cultivated for a few decades, and yet he could be on equal footing with them. Wouldn't it seem like they had lived their lives like dogs? Why? Therefore, When Wei Shiren disregarded the rules and made up his mind to keep Lu Ping out of the North Sea Palace with 2 spirit fires, the other cultivators only showed a little mercy and didn't stop their attacks, even though they realized that it was too much to ask of Lu Ping. Good. The North Sea Palace's Zhenling furnace Laozu was so angry that he laughed. He looked gloomily at the few cultivators who were trying their best to block Lu Ping and said, "The Zhenling furnace has seen everything that happened today. I don't think so many people will come to the next gathering." Everyone could feel the anger in the heart of one of the few Dharma stage alchemy grandmasters in the North Sea. Today, things had really gone too far. No one had thought that so many people would make a move at once, and that the rash young man outside the door was a troublemaker. When everyone tried to stop him, even if he didn't take a few steps back, he should at least stay where he was for a moment. Since everyone had achieved their goal, they would naturally stop. But this brat took 5 steps in a row and didn't even stop. He walked all the way into the North Sea Palace. Those methods that tried to stop him were easily resolved by him, as if they were nothing. This made those alchemy grandmasters who tried to stop him lose face. The meteor flying fire was really like a shooting star, leaving a long trail of flames in the air. When it flew out of the North Sea Palace and smashed towards Lu Ping, a purple flame immediately rose from Lu Ping's body. The Eastern Purple Chi Flame. Looks like Zhenling spent a lot of money on it. It's a mid-earth level spirit fire, but it's still a bit lacking compared to the meteor flying fire. This Zhenling sect's foundation is really deep. After all, they didn't get to be the top sect in the North Sea for thousands of years for nothing. Nonsense. Zhenling is the alchemy master, and the one who attacked is a grandmaster. If a grandmaster doesn't even have a high-earth level spirit fire, how can he use it to refine Dharma adepts? In the end, the Eastern Purple Chi Flame was still at a disadvantage. Lu Ping seemed to see the smug face of Zhenling sect's Wei Shiren through the orange-yellow flame. Lu Ping's heart was filled with resentment. "Your grandpa Lu must go in today." With a wave of his hand, Lu Ping sent 10 shiny high-grade spirit stones into the Eastern Purple Chi Flame. Almost at the same time, they exploded. Before the rich spiritual energy could disperse, it was absorbed by the Eastern Purple Chi Flame. The Eastern Purple Chi Flame grew stronger after it was replenished. It was no longer in a disadvantageous position, and it managed to block the meteor flying fire. Lu Ping stepped forward with his left foot and took another step forward. Inside the North Sea Palace, Fornax Laozu didn't say anything else after saying those harsh words. Instead, he closed his eyes as if he had entered a meditative state. His calm face didn't reveal a trace of emotion. Instead, it caused the few cultivators who attacked to be at a loss as to what to do next. But now, it was hard for them to back down. If they stopped now, Zhenling might not be on their side, and they would also have to offend Zhenling's sect. They would lose face as well. If they didn't stop now, they would have to wait for Fornax Laozu's revenge at the next meeting. These alchemy masters were all here because they had a lot of interests behind them. If they couldn't enter the North Sea Palace, they would lose more than just themselves. At the thought of this, the few alchemy masters who attacked looked resentful. Some of them were from large sects in the North Sea, but the others were rogue cultivators, or those who didn't have enough power behind them. Everyone here knew about Zhenling's influence in the North Sea. Other than Laozu, the 8 Dharma adepts who everyone loved to talk about, only Zhenling could counterattack continuously under the wild attacks of the North Sea demon tribe. In comparison, Zhenling's sect, which had always been known as the #1 sect in the North Sea, had very few bright spots. It gave people the feeling that the sun was setting in the west. Wei Shiren saw that Lu Ping had actually blocked 2 of his attacks. If he included the divine sense attack from before, that was already 3 times. According to the rule that alchemy masters of the North Sea Palace only attacked once, not only was Wei Shiren bullying the young, but he had also lost face. But now, Wei Shiren had no way out. If he allowed that kid to enter, he would not only lose face, but he would be skinned alive. A fierce look flashed in Wei Shiren's eyes. Ever since he became an alchemy master, he had lived with the ridicule of the North Sea cultivators for more than 100 years. Back then, Mei Xianqin, who had started cultivating later than Zhenling, had blocked him 3 times in a row in the North Sea Palace. Each time, he had retreated with his tail between his legs. Wei Shiren had long become a laughingstock among the alchemy masters of the North Sea Palace. At worst, he would be mocked again. Even if he was condemned by everyone, he couldn't let this kid in today. Wei Shiren had a feeling that this kid would be a genius whose achievements would not be inferior to Mei Xuanqin's in the future. If Wei Shiren missed this opportunity today, it would be difficult to suppress him in the future. Wei Shiren suddenly sat up straight. Tianlu Laozu suddenly opened his eyes and stared at Wei Shiren. Clearly, Tianlu Laozu was not really calm just now. He was constantly paying attention to Wei Shiren's condition. The other alchemy grandmaster of Xianling sect, Dharma cultivator Daoli Laozu, was shocked. He sat up straight and said, "Brother Tianlu, what are you doing?" Before Daoli Laozu could finish, he saw a small palm leaf fan suddenly appear in Wei Shiren's hand. The fan spun and grew to the size of a foot. Spirit light flowed on the fan's surface. It was obviously a spirit-connected artifact. Wei Shiren's face was ferocious. He swung the fan at the entrance of the North Sea Palace. Tianlu Laozu's furious voice sounded, "Wind fan." Then, a loud noise came from inside the North Sea Palace. The whole palace shook, and Daoli Laozu's voice came from inside. "Tianlu, what are you doing? I will definitely give you, Zhenling, an explanation for this." Lu Ping was only one step away from the North Sea Palace. Suddenly, he felt a strange wind blowing toward him, as if it was about to blow into his bones. Then, he saw the meteor flying fire's fire surge. Not only did it suppress the east-rising purple chi, but the other flames that were fighting beside it also retreated like defeated roosters. Lu Ping's eyes were filled with orange flames, as if it would not stop until Lu Ping was burned to ashes. At this critical moment, Lu Ping stretched out his finger and drew faster and faster. The east-rising purple chi in front of him also followed Lu Ping's finger and turned into a spinning cone of fire, colliding with the meteor flying fire. Such a method naturally could not block the meteor flying fire with the help of the wind fan. Lu Ping already had a plan. A blue stream of water suddenly swirled around Lu Ping's body. Lu Ping's spiritual yuan surged, and the blue spiritual yuan was injected into the blue stream of water. The entire stream of water seemed to have a layer of light. Facing the surging meteor flying fire, Lu Ping took another step forward. The threshold of the North Sea Palace was finally stepped under Lu Ping's feet, and the surrounding attacks suddenly stopped. The meteor flying fire turned back into a fire seed and flew back to Wei Shiren's hand. Lu Ping stood at the entrance of the North Sea Palace and scathed. A blue stream of water flowed up and down, protecting Lu Ping. The scene inside the palace was clear at a glance. More than 20 cultivators sat cross-legged in various parts of the palace, looking up and down at Lu Ping with a variety of complex emotions. Lu Ping sneered and lifted his foot to walk into the palace. "Wait, you are not qualified to enter the North Sea Palace. Wei Shiren, Fornax, will kill you today." Just as a loud shout came, it was interrupted by Fornax Laozu's roar. Chapter 418. Lu Ping looked at Wei Shiren in surprise. Not only Lu Ping, but the other alchemy grandmasters in the palace were also thinking that Wei Shiren had lost all sense of shame. Xianling sect's Dao Yin ancestor looked at the furious Fornax sect's ancestor with trepidation. He was afraid that the Fornax sect's ancestor would suddenly kill Wei Shiren, and he would not be able to stop it. Although he also knew that the Fornax sect's ancestor would not really kill Wei Shiren, if the Xianling sect's alchemy grandmaster died in the hands of Xianling sect, then there would really be no room for reconciliation between the two sections. However, looking at Fornax Laozu's rage, Daoyan Laozu was not confident. At the same time, he could not help but blame Wei Shiren in his heart. "You said that you were ruined by Xinling's Mei Xianqin, and now that you have become an alchemy grandmaster, you came to the North Sea Palace to feel proud. After all, the appearance of an alchemy grandmaster is also the glory of the sect. You said that you want to teach Xinling's junior a lesson to vent your anger. That is also understandable. You said that you have broken the rules several times, so you want to vent your anger." Daoyan Laozu pinched his nose. That is also understandable. But what is going on now? Wei Shiren has come in with his own ability, but you are still so unforgiving. You, Wei Shiren, are the laughingstock of the North Sea alchemy world. You don't mind losing face once or twice, but Xinling's sect still wants to save face. Daoyan Laozu finally could not stand it anymore and said, "Martial nephew Wei, enough?" Unexpectedly, at this moment, Wei Shiren seemed to have gone mad. He ignored Laozu's scolding and said to Lu Ping, "The North Sea Palace has always had a rule that anyone who can enter this palace must use the means of an alchemy master. You, a junior, used a stream of heaven and earth spirit water to block the spiritual fire we use for alchemy. What kind of logic is this? Can this spiritual water be used for alchemy?" In the silent hall, only Wei Shiren's slightly deranged voice echoed. Although the cultivators present had already recognized Lu Ping's right to enter the North Sea Palace, when they heard Wei Shiren's words, they only curiously looked at the water ribbon around Lu Ping's body. Then, with a look of realization, they said, "I was wondering how he could block the meteor flying fire. So it's the earth-grade Songlan water. In this case, coupled with the east-rising purple chi from before, he should be able to block it." Surprisingly, the cultivators in the hall all ignored Lu Ping's rule-breaking behavior. At the very least, Wei Shiren had broken the rules by attacking Lu Ping several times in a row. Although Wei Shiren was using the means of an alchemist, and the rules were not the same as the rules, he couldn't be so shameless. A late-core forging realm cultivator was attacking a mid-core forging realm cultivator repeatedly. If the mid-core forging realm cultivator didn't defend with all his might, would he have to stretch out his neck and let Wei Shiren kill him? Lu Ping looked at Wei Shiren, who did not have the bearing of an alchemy grandmaster, and was speechless. Grandmaster Wei Shiren was obviously unaware of the situation in the palace. He continued to say loudly, "We alchemy masters do not use water to refine pills. Since you have broken the rules, you should leave. There is no place for you in the North Sea Palace." Lu Ping ignored Wei Shiren and walked straight into the palace. At this time, Wei Shiren finally came to his senses. He realized that his words had not been approved by the cultivators in North Sea Palace. However, the cultivators in the palace looked at each other. The rules of the alchemy world had always been strict. If it were not for Wei Shiren's insistence today, which was really annoying, Lu Ping would not have been able to enter North Sea Palace no matter what. However, if they allowed Lu Ping to enter North Sea Palace, it seemed that the rules would be broken. Therefore, more than 10 alchemy grandmasters in North Sea Palace looked at the Dharma stage alchemy grandmasters sitting in the seats of honor. The grandmasters then looked at Fornax Laozu. Obviously, no one wanted to offend Fornax Laozu. However, Fornax Laozu seemed to be even more ruthless. This time, he really closed his eyes and meditated. For a moment, the Dharma stage alchemy grandmasters of North Sea Palace seemed to have no idea what to do. However, Lu Ping thought for a moment and sneered at Wei Shiren. "Who said that spirit water can't be used to refine pills?" Lu Ping took out a few ordinary spirit herbs from his storage ring. With a thought, that Songlan water suddenly turned into a three-legged cauldron. A stream of water wrapped the spirit herbs into the cauldron. In just a moment, a blood-refining stage spirit water pill was out of the cauldron. Many of the alchemy masters in the palace looked at Lu Ping in surprise. They all whispered, "What kind of method is this? How can spirit water be used to refine pills? Is this the legendary spirit water pill formation technique? Is the legend true? Is there really such a miraculous alchemy technique? It's really miraculous. Now there's no reason to expel Zhenling's disciple from North Sea Palace." This Wei Shiren, I didn't expect that even after becoming an alchemy grandmaster, he's still a nobody. This time, Xinling's sect. Hehe. Wei Shiren was stunned when he saw Lu Ping using the Songlan water to concoct a medicinal pellet. As a grandmaster alchemist, how could Wei Shiren not know about medicinal pellets made out of spirit water? However, he always thought it was just a legend that couldn't be taken seriously. Now that he saw it with his own eyes, even the great grandmaster alchemist was stunned. In the end, he murmured, "How is this possible? How is this possible?" However, at that moment, even Daoyan Laozu shook his head helplessly. Since it's the spirit water pill formation technique, there's no doubt about it. "Master Lu, please take a seat." Daoyan Laozu had personally acknowledged Lu Ping's qualifications. In the eyes of others, it was as if Xianling's sect had bowed down to Zhenling. Daoyan Laozu was also helpless. This time, Wei Shiren was too unreasonable. Fornax Laozu was furious, and Daoyan Laozu knew that Fornax Laozu was going to kill Zhenling. Even if Xianling's sect did not fear Zhenling, if Fornax Laozu really killed Wei Shiren, Zhenling would at least be in the right in North Sea. Looking at Wei Shiren's dazed expression, Daoyan Laozu frowned. Just as he was about to say something, he heard Lu Ping walk towards Fornax Laozu and say, "Since it's a competition between pill masters, and they're using pill master techniques, I'll return the favor." As soon as Lu Ping finished speaking, he threw a few thumb-sized pills of various colors at the cultivators who attacked him. What was that? Some of the pill masters looked at the pills flying towards them with puzzled eyes. Some of the cultivators guessed what it was, and their eyes were filled with surprise. Even if they didn't, they still looked nervous. Of course, there were also some cultivators who didn't take it seriously. However, just as the medicinal pellets were about to reach the alchemy grandmasters, a majestic spiritual power surged out from the medicinal pellets. Then, the medicinal pellets suddenly exploded, releasing a variety of spells that surged towards the cultivators who attacked Lu Ping. Intentional combat pill. It's really an intentional combat pill. I didn't expect this person to not only master the legendary pill refining technique of using spiritual water to cultivate pills, but also know how to refine an unorthodox pill like the intentional combat pill. Only the fierce dragon dares to cross the river. What is he doing? Challenging so many alchemy grandmasters by himself? How dare he? Amidst the exclamations of many cultivators in the North Sea Palace, the pills that Lu Ping threw out turned into a black fire, emitting billowing poisonous smoke. It was the black prison poisonous fire that they had seen before, burning towards one of the cultivators. Another turned into a thin needle of ice water and shot towards another cultivator. There was also a small pill that gave birth to a strange one-horned dragon. With a silent roar, it rushed towards an alchemy master with a sonorous sound of metal colliding. Another turned into a torrent of sword techniques, and dense sword lights rushed towards one of the cultivators. These intentional combat pills were used by Lu Ping in his spare time to practice, but this time, he had another purpose. Just now, Fornax Laozu had said that he would make things difficult for the cultivators who attacked Lu Ping at the next meeting. Although Fornax Laozu had only said it out of anger, the alchemy masters of the North Sea Palace were interested in it. Everyone was afraid of the power of the North Sea Palace, so in order to protect themselves, they took some necessary defensive measures. It was inevitable that they would treat Zhenling as an enemy. As a result, Zhenling would be isolated in the alchemy world. This time, Lu Ping's actions were to dispel the concerns of the alchemy masters who attacked him. Lu Ping knew that these intentional combat pills could not do anything to these cultivators, who were at least in the late core forging realm. However, most alchemy masters were not good at fighting, and the power of Lu Ping's intentional combat pills was unleashed when they were caught off guard. Some of the cultivators did not even know what an intentional combat pill was. For a moment, the cultivators who were attacked by Lu Ping were flustered. However, the ones who were in the most danger were not them, but Wei Shiren, who had suffered a huge mental blow. Wei Shiren had attacked Lu Ping 3 times, and Lu Ping had also returned 3 intentional combat pills. However, these 3 intentional combat pills were the most powerful ones that Lu Ping had refined after advancing to the middle core forging realm. A purple pill was the first to explode, and a sword shadow flashed out, slashing towards Wei Shiren's head. True Essence 1 Sword Chi. Wei Shiren was in a trance, but he was a late core forging realm cultivator after all, and he was not a weak alchemy master. When Lu Ping's True Essence 1 Sword Chi slashed down, Wei Shiren was shocked. A pill furnace jumped up from the top of Wei Shiren's head, and with a dang sound, a sword light that seemed to have materialized hit the pill furnace. Wei Shiren felt a huge force, and his body immediately fell back. Lu Ping looked at the pill furnace above Wei Shiren's head, and his eyes narrowed slightly. This was obviously a top-grade pill furnace, but it was too extravagant to use a pill furnace as a defensive artifact. Although it was also an alchemy master's method, it was too extravagant. This Xianling sect was really rich. However, Lu Ping's methods were not limited to this. Immediately after the true essence one sword chi, another pill exploded, and the sky was filled with spiritual sword light that swept towards Wei Shiren like a torrent. The top-grade pill furnace above Wei Shiren's head suddenly emitted a series of explosions. Daoyin Laozu's mouth twitched as he watched from the side, while Tianlu Laozu laughed loudly. However, a top-grade pill furnace was still comparable to a spiritual weapon, and the true power of these intentional combat pills could not compare to the same swordsmanship that Lu Ping used with the golden scale sword. The torrent of sword light hit the pill furnace, and countless small holes appeared on its body, but it was not destroyed in the end. Wei Shiren, who had just reacted, felt his heart ache. Although Lu Ping knew that his intentional combat pills could not do anything to this pill furnace, he still felt a little regretful when he saw the result. However, Lu Ping still had a third intentional combat pill. Chapter 419. Two powerful intentional combat pills in a row made Wei Shiren wobble left and right like a roly-poly doll. A top-grade pill furnace was also hit until it was full of holes. However, at this moment, Lu Ping's third intentional combat pill also arrived. At this time, Wei Shiren was already a little exhausted by Lu Ping's means. Although he was a late-stage core forging cultivator, under the continuous blows, especially the damage to his mind, this alchemy grandmaster no longer had a trace of high-spirited performance. But seeing the third intentional combat pill explode, Wei Shiren had to endure the pain in his heart and put this top-grade pill furnace on top of his head. However, to Wei Shiren's surprise, Lu Ping's third intentional combat pill did not contain any powerful spells, but a wave. Just as the third intentional combat pill exploded, the water vapor around the North Sea Palace gathered here, and a huge wave of water splashed down. Wei Shiren was caught off guard. At this time, how could he still care about the alchemy grandmaster's means? He quickly propped up his protective aura, but then he felt a huge force directly pressing down on him. Wei Shiren's body arched, and he felt the true essence contained in his protective aura leaking out in an instant. Wei Shiren knew that something was wrong and was about to take measures, but it was too late. Wei Shiren's protective aura had been corroded, and the all-pervasive waves had rushed into Wei Shiren's protective aura, drenching him, a late-stage core forging cultivator of Xin Ling's sect and an alchemy grandmaster. This was a naked slap in the face, a blatant humiliation. Wei Shiren's body shook, and a white mist suddenly rose from his body, drying his drenched clothes. Although it only took a blink of an eye from the moment Lu Ping drenched him to the moment Wei Shiren used a spell to dry him, everyone present had already seen everything. If Wei Shiren's dignity as an alchemy grandmaster that was stepped on by Jinling Mei Xianqin was finally picked up because he became an alchemy grandmaster, then from the moment Lu Ping drenched him, Wei Shiren no longer had any dignity in the North Sea cultivation world. No matter how shameless Wei Shiren was, he was the one who didn't want it, but it was a different matter to be humiliated by someone else. You, Junior, you're courting death. Courting death? Who do you want to die? Without waiting for Lu Ping to refute, Fornak's Cauldron ancestor interrupted. His eyes stared at Wei Shiren as if he wanted to eat him alive. Wei Shiren was furious, and just as he was about to refute, Laozu stopped him and said, "Brother Tianlu, Martial Nephew Wei was too impatient just now. Why don't we just let it go?" Before Wei Shiren attacked Lu Ping several times, Tianlu Laozu was furious and said that he wanted to kill Wei Shiren. Now that Lu Ping had gotten back at him, Tianlu Laozu naturally would not meddle and kill Wei Shiren. Hence, he sneered at Wei Shiren and said, "Since this kid has gotten back at him, let's forget about today's matter. There's no need for the old man to do anything unnecessary." Although Tianlu Laozu continued Laozu's words, he said it for the alchemy masters in the North Sea Palace who had attacked Lu Ping just now. Therefore, after Tianlu Laozu finished speaking, the alchemy masters heaved a sigh of relief. When they looked at Lu Ping again, there was a trace of gratitude in their eyes. After all, to them, it was really something to be thankful for not being constantly targeted by a Dharma power adept like Laozu. The changes in these people's expressions naturally could not be hidden from the Dharma power adepts present. They all secretly sighed at the two foxes, one big and one small. Tianlu Laozu, the Dharma power adept of the Sea Flame sect, said, "All right, since these small matters have been settled, the alchemy gathering should begin. We should first exchange what we need." Most of the alchemy masters in the North Sea Palace nodded in agreement with Tianlu Laozu's words. Lu Ping also felt a little impatient. This was the first time he had participated in such a grand event, so he was naturally looking forward to it. After the gathering began, all the alchemy masters stood up and walked towards different cultivators as if they had been prepared in advance. Even Tianlu Laozu and Shu Min Laozu of the Misty Water Pavilion were discussing something. From time to time, they would exchange some jade boxes, storage bags, and the like with each other. Lu Ping thought about it and understood in his heart. Each sect had their own land of inheritance, spiritual herbs, and spiritual gardens, but they did not dare to say that they had all the spiritual herbs. Moreover, each sect had different ways of cultivating various spiritual herbs. Some sects were good at cultivating this kind of spiritual herb, so the production of this kind of spiritual herb was higher and the quality was better. Some sects were good at cultivating this kind of spiritual herb, so the production of this kind of spiritual herb was higher and the quality was better. Some sects were good at cultivating another kind of spiritual herb, so the two sects could exchange what they needed. As soon as the gathering began, all the sects seemed to have already found a target and began to talk in secret. This was because the elixir gathering had been held dozens of times. Although each sect didn't know which sect was rich in spiritual herbs, they had a general understanding of each sect. This time, Tianlu Laozu obviously brought Lu Ping here to broaden his horizons. He didn't give him the task of exchanging spiritual herbs, so Lu Ping didn't have to deal with this palace full of old foxes. Some of these people's alchemy skills might not be as good as Lu Ping's, but their knowledge was not inferior to Lu Ping's. After all, living longer was an advantage after all. Lu Ping touched the storage ring on his hand and counted his own assets. This time, in addition to the hundreds of spiritual herbs that he had collected before, Lu Ping also had more than 1,000 spiritual herbs that he had collected on Huangli Island. At the same time, he had also robbed the hundreds of spiritual herbs that Luan Yu had collected in the Golden House. In this way, Lu Ping had collected 2,500 spiritual herbs. In addition, Lu Ping also had 70 to 80 spiritual herbs that were 3,000 years old. Most of them were collected from the spiritual herb garden on the lonely mountain in the Golden House. These spiritual herbs had been carefully cultivated by Luan Yu for several years, so they were really full of medicinal properties and were of high quality. Lu Ping walked back and forth in the palace. Many alchemists would take out their spiritual herb samples to compare with each other when they were exchanging. At this time, there would also be cultivators next to them coming forward to evaluate. Naturally, Lu Ping also went forward to listen to the opinions of others. When the other cultivators saw Lu Ping coming, they all nodded and smiled. Obviously, they had already approved of Lu Ping's entry into the North Sea Palace. In addition, there was Junling behind Lu Ping, so these alchemists had no choice but to treat them carefully. Some alchemists even handed the spiritual herbs in their hands to Lu Ping for evaluation. In addition to their recognition of him, naturally, they also wanted to test him. Lu Ping did not refuse any of them. If he knew, he would say it, and if he didn't know, he would say he didn't know. He had the 3 pure true pupils. These years, he had been running around everywhere, and the people he came into contact with were alchemy geniuses like Luan Yu and Yu Zhongrui. What he received were the guidance of the top alchemy grandmasters in the cultivation world like Yin Wujiu, Hongye Laozu, and Tianlu Laozu. Even though his own experience was limited, as long as it was something he knew, he could directly point out the essence in a few words, which made the alchemists around him gasp in admiration. When they looked at Lu Ping again, there was more or less a trace of respect in their eyes. If before, most of the people were polite to him because of Junling behind him and his age, which could be regarded as potential, now everyone had already regarded Lu Ping as a real and quite strong alchemy grandmaster. Lu Xiaoyu, did you see anything in this gathering? How was the harvest? Lu Ping turned around and saw an old man standing behind him with a smile on his face. Lu Ping cupped his hands and said, "Greetings, senior. This junior came here mainly to gain some experience with the elders of the sect. I haven't exchanged anything with you. May I ask who you are?" The old man smiled and said, Old man Liao Ruinjia. Liao, who is my son? Lu Ping suddenly realized and said, so it is Senior Liao. Junior greets you. Junior and Brother Liao have not seen each other for nearly 20 years since we parted at the 7-star cave heaven. How is Brother Liao recently? Liao Ruinjia smiled and said, that kid is not comparable to you. In the past 2 years, he has just barely broken through the core forging stage. He is still far from becoming an alchemy grandmaster. Lu Ping smiled and said, congratulations, Senior Liao. The Liao family has a long history. Brother Lu will definitely become a great person in the future. It is a pity that Junior didn't know that Brother Liao had reached the gold core stage. Otherwise, I would have visited and congratulated you. This Liao, who was a member of the North Sea's Liao family that Lu Ping came into contact with in the Golden Fallen Valley. The North Sea's Liao family was a famous alchemy family in the North Sea. Their alchemy skills were quite unique. Although this family had not produced any famous cultivators in the North Sea for thousands of years, there would always be an alchemy grandmaster in every generation. After thousands of years, the Liao family had some influence in the North Sea. In particular, the North Sea's rogue cultivators would often go to the Liao family to ask for alchemy pills. The Liao family never embezzled any cultivator's spiritual herbs. However, what really allowed the Liao family to gain a foothold in the North Sea was the miraculous pill, the heart-dissolving pill. This was a miraculous pill that could raise a blood condensation realm cultivator's cultivation level by 1 level. Unfortunately, the spirit herbs required to concoct this pill were extremely rare. Hence, the Liao family could only concoct a limited number of pills each time. However, every time they concocted a pill, the cultivators of the North Sea would fight over it. This also allowed the Liao family to accumulate quite a bit of wealth, allowing them to continue to grow and develop the family. But what Grandmaster Liao Ruinjia didn't know was that the Liao family's most secretive pill, the heart-dissolving pill, had long been in the hands of Lu Ping. Even the heart-forging pill, which the Liao family had kept a secret for thousands of years, was obtained by Lu Ping from enlightened Master Liao Ding's belongings in the Golden Fallen Valley. It could be said that Lu Ping's current achievements were greatly aided by enlightened Master Liao Ding's inheritance. Naturally, Lu Ping wouldn't say these things out loud. However, this didn't prevent Lu Ping from feeling grateful to the Liao family. Moreover, Liao Hu and Lu Ping were friends when they were in the Golden Fallen Valley. Hee, what a coincidence. I, the old man, have some things here. I wonder if Lu Xiaoyu is interested in them? If there's anything you like, how about we trade? This Liao Ruinjia was a thoughtful person. Lu Ping smiled and said, since Senior wants to take care of me, Junior will naturally do as you say. Chapter 420. Who in the North Sea Palace couldn't see Lu Ping's status in the Fornax Laozu, or rather, in the Jinling sect. He had only cultivated for a few decades, but his cultivation had already reached the mid-core forging stage. He was a famous genius of the North Sea Palace, and now he was also an alchemy grandmaster. How many of such outstanding juniors could there be in the North Sea? Liao Ruinjia's purpose was very simple. He was betting that Lu Ping wouldn't die prematurely in the future. He would inevitably become a cultivator in the Jinling sect, and his name would shake the North Sea Palace. At that time, deliberately befriending him would bring benefits to the family. Lu Ping was also very clear about Liao Ruinjia's thoughts, because he had encountered this kind of situation more than once. To deal with this kind of situation, Lu Ping's method was also very simple. Who wouldn't take advantage of a situation? Liao Ruinjia directly handed a jade slip to Lu Ping. Lu Ping swept it with his divine sense. The jade slip recorded the treasures that Liao Ruinjia had brought with him to the alchemist gathering. There were a variety of spirit grasses, pills, pill recipes, and so on. There were more than 100 of them. Lu Ping pondered for a long time and said, I wonder if the pill recipes for the spirit-stabilizing pill, soul-restoring pill, soul-nourishing pill, and divine-accumulating pill can be exchanged? Liao Ruinjia stared blankly for a moment and said, Lu Xiaoyu has a good eye. Of these 7 pills, the first 3 are Chiman pills with many uses. The last 4 are suitable for young friends' mid-core forging stage cultivation. The spirit-stabilizing pill, soul-replenishing pill, soul-nourishing pill, and divine-accumulating pill can be exchanged, but Lu Xiaoyu must take out the same amount of pill recipes. If you take out a pill recipe that my Liao family already has, then it can't be exchanged. The other 3 pill recipes are my Liao family's secret, so they can't be exchanged. However, if it's Lu Xiaoyu, you can use spirit grasses to exchange for 3 types of refined pills. Lu Ping pondered for a moment. With his cultivation method, if he didn't want his cultivation to fall behind cultivators of the same level, then he needed to find a way to increase his cultivation. However, if a cultivator took too many of the same type of pill, then the body would develop a resistance, which would greatly weaken the effect of the pill. Therefore, during the process of cultivation, cultivators would have to constantly change the types of pills they took. With Lu Ping's current status as an alchemy grandmaster, even if spirit herbs were scarce in the cultivation world, it wouldn't affect him too much. However, Lu Ping's cultivation method, due to the strong foundation and the influence of the Xinyu on heavy water, was bound to greatly slow down Lu Ping's cultivation speed. Thus, Lu Ping had to take far more pills than cultivators of the same level in order to increase his cultivation. At this time, Lu Ping needed to constantly collect a variety of pill recipes that were suitable for his cultivation stage. This was to prevent Lu Ping from not having a suitable pill to take before he had a breakthrough in his cultivation. Lu Ping picked out 4 pill recipes for mid-core forging stage pills from his storage ring. After Lu Ping became an alchemy grandmaster, especially after Lu Ping was able to refine late-core forging stage pills, Jinling had already opened up all the pill recipes in the sex collection to Lu Ping. Jinling had tens of thousands of years of inheritance, so the pills for the core forging stage could be considered all-inclusive. However, Lu Ping naturally had to set his sights high. For his own cultivation, he first had to choose a pill that was suitable for water attribute cultivation methods. Secondly, he had to see if it had an effect on cultivators of the Flood Dragon bloodline. As a result, there weren't many pills that could catch Lu Ping's eye. This Liao family was worthy of being an alchemy family with thousands of years of inheritance. Lu Ping, who had seen Jinling's heritage, was actually able to see 7 pill recipes that Jinling didn't have. This already made Lu Ping sigh in admiration. The 7 pill recipes that caught his eye were naturally very suitable for his cultivation method, but it was a pity that 3 of them were Liao family's secret techniques that were not passed on to others. Liao Ruinjia carefully looked at the 4 pill recipes that Lu Ping handed over. His face showed a hint of joy as he said, "Lu Xiaoyu's vision is admirable. The value of these 4 pill recipes is indeed comparable to the 4 pill recipes that the old man has. Unfortunately, 2 of these pill recipes are already in my Liao family's possession, but the remaining 2 are something that my Liao family doesn't have. I just don't know which 2 pill recipes Lu Xiaoyu is interested in." The pill recipes that Lu Ping was able to take out were also approved by Fornax Laozu in advance. Otherwise, with Jinling's heritage, Lu Ping didn't believe that the pill recipes that Jinling was unwilling to take out wouldn't be able to exchange for the remaining 2 pill recipes. The key was that these pill recipes were the same as the 3 pill recipes that Liao Ruinjia refused to exchange with Lu Ping. They were also secrets of Jinling. Then let's have the stabilizing spirit pill and the accumulating spirit pill. Lu Ping and Liao Ruinjia exchanged the 2 pill recipes. Lu Ping also exchanged 150,000-year-old spirit grasses for the stabilizing wave pill, the falling spirit pill, and the non-perceiving pill. Lu Ping originally wanted to exchange for 3 bottles of each, but Liao Ruinjia smiled and refused because he didn't have enough spirit pills on him. Naturally, Lu Ping knew this was just an excuse. Liao Ruinjia definitely had more of these 3 types of medicinal pellets, but he couldn't possibly have too many of them. There were more than 20 alchemists from the various sects, so it was impossible for Liao Ruinjia to let Lu Ping buy all of his medicinal pellets. Lu Ping regretfully shook his head, once again took the jade slip in Liao Ruinjia's hand and began to look at it. This time, Lu Ping saw a rather strange pill at the end of the jade slip. Bone forging pill? This was quite a novel pill. Could it be? Lu Ping's heart was filled with joy, carefully looking at the contents of the bone-forging pill. After a while, he asked Liao Ruinjia with a slightly surprised expression, "Senior Liao, your family really deserves to be called a family with 1,000 years of inheritance." You even have this kind of pill that can strengthen the body? Just like the golden body pill that Lu Ping had obtained in the blood condensation realm, this bone-forging pill was a pill that could strengthen the body of a cultivator. Moreover, from the medicinal effect, the bone-forging pill seemed to be much more effective than the golden body pill. However, the bone-forging pill had a limit. Only the first 3 pills could be used, while the golden body pill could be used continuously to strengthen the body. When Liao Ruinjia saw that Lu Ping had noticed the bone-forging pill, he couldn't help but smile. This bone-forging pill is indeed a kind of miraculous pill. Many Fa Xiang Laozu are willing to exchange for this kind of pill from my Liao family. I didn't expect that Lu Xiaoyu would also be interested in this kind of pill. Lu Ping was puzzled. This kind of pill that can strengthen the body is said to be very useful for Fa Xiang Laozu's cultivation. It is reasonable to say that this kind of pill should be extremely precious. Why would your family put this kind of pill in the list of things that can be exchanged for? Liao Ruinjia seemed to have already known that Lu Ping would ask such a question, so he replied with a smile, because the main ingredient needed to refine this kind of pill is a kind of spirit demon fruit that has matured for more than 1,000 years. Spirit demon fruit? Lu Ping had a puzzled look on his face, but in his heart, there was a burst of excitement. He thought that Lu Ping did not know much about spirit demons, so he continued, the so-called spirit demon fruit is actually a kind of demon race. However, spirit demons are a kind of demon race that can only become demon race after grass, wood, bamboo, or stone has gained spiritual intelligence and comprehended the cultivation method. These spirit demons have too many innate limitations. Before they reach the golden core stage, they cannot even move their bodies and can die at any time. However, this junior still wants to exchange for this bone-forging pill recipe. Perhaps this junior will have the opportunity to meet a spirit demon fruit in the future. Liao Ruinjia laughed and said, that is indeed true. Lu Xiaoyu has cultivated for less than 100 years. Based on your current cultivation, a mid-core forging realm cultivator has a lifespan of 600 years. You have 500 years to travel around the world. Old people like us can't compare in any way. Not to mention, your cultivation will not stop here. In this way, it is very likely that you will be able to obtain a spirit demon fruit in the future. Lu Ping ignored these compliments, but this pill recipe was really not cheap. Lu Ping used 300,000-year-old spirit grass and 33,000-year-old spirit grass before Liao Ruinjia was satisfied and handed the bone-forging pill recipe to the Pain Lu Ping. At this time, Lu Ping was already shouting in his heart that he had made a profit. What Liao Ruinjia didn't know was that Lu Ping ate one of the 18 spirit demon peaches in the Golden House. He had eaten one, given 3 to his master, and Chu Xuanqing had eaten one. Now, he still had 13 in his hands. These were genuine spirit demon fruits. Chapter 421. Under the careful care of Luan Yu, 1 or 2 golden resilience pills in Lu Ping's golden house matured every 3 years. Lu Ping used all of them to refine golden resilience pills for himself. Lu Ping could feel that even without the support of spiritual core, his body could compete with a low-level magic tool. However, as Lu Ping's cultivation base advanced to the core forging realm, the golden resilience pellet's strengthening effect was still there, but it wasn't as obvious anymore. The appearance of the bone-forging pellet made Lu Ping's eyes light up. Unfortunately, each cultivator could only consume 3 bone-forging pellets. Furthermore, the bone-forging pellet was very different from other medicinal pellets. The bone-forging pellet could only be refined once per cauldron. Success was success, failure was failure. However, this also made Lu Ping's eyes light up. This method was suitable for spirit water nourishing pills. Spirit water nourishing pills could only be refined once per furnace. Regardless of whether it was a blood refining stage pill or a transcendent stage pill, a furnace of spirit herbs could only guarantee 1 pill. However, this way, the success rate of refining had increased a lot. In the end, spirit water nourishing pills were suitable for precious pills with low success rates. This was the best way to refine the bone forging pill. In fact, Lu Ping had a natural treasure that could strengthen the body. It was even more effective than the bone-forging pill. It was the rank 9 white jade lotus root that he found in the 100 Flowers land in the fallen mystery land. This lotus root had 9 segments, and each segment was a top-grade treasure for refining the body. Unfortunately, the level of the lotus root was too high. At the moment, Lu Ping was not confident that he could refine it into a body-strengthening pill. Lu Ping put away the pill recipes. He knew that after the various sects exchanged information, it was time for the main event of this gathering. It was time for the alchemy masters and grandmasters to show their true strength. These things were not considered as their trump cards. However, this did not prevent Lu Ping from asking some questions. Senior Liao, does your family have life essence pills that are more than 5 years old? I, Zhengling, am willing to pay a high price for them and will keep this a secret for your family. Liao Ruinjiao was a little stunned as he looked at Lu Ping's serious expression. After a moment, he said with a smile, "Little friend Lu, you're looking for the essence longevity elixir for your esteemed sect's old ancestor Tiankong, right?" Huh. Lu Ping's heart tightened as he thought to himself that even the Liao clan knew about junior uncle Tiankang's group. But then, he felt relieved. Perhaps Zhenling's sect didn't hide forefather Tiankang's matter from the North Sea cultivators. Sure enough, Liao Ruinjia looked at Lu Ping, who suddenly became vigilant, and said with a smile, "Little friend, I'm afraid you don't know this, but your sect has already exchanged for a 3-year life essence pill for my Liao family. For the sake of Tiankong Laozu, your sect has been searching for life essence pills and pill recipes in the entire North Sea for decades. This is no secret in the North Sea. Now, your sect's Tianlu Laozu probably has the largest collection of life essence pill recipes in the North Sea. In the past, my Liao family also had a 3-year life essence pill, but Tianlu Laozu personally came to exchange for it with some heavenly materials and earthly treasures. Now, I'm afraid it will be very difficult to find another life essence pill in the North Sea that Zhenling doesn't have." Lu Ping saw that Liao Ruinjiao was so familiar with this matter, so he was obviously not lying. Originally, Lu Ping just wanted to give it a try, but he didn't expect that the Liao family really did have life essence pills. Unfortunately, Zhenling had already exchanged for it. Although Lu Ping felt a bit regretful, his interest in the Liao family grew a bit more. Life essence pills were not something ordinary families could have. In the cultivation world of the North Sea, a 3-year life essence pill was considered a rare treasure. At the very least, only the great clans like the 10 great sects could have it. Although the Liao family itself was an alchemy family, it could still have a life essence pill as an inheritance. This showed that this family was quite extraordinary. In addition, Liao Ruinjia's words revealed a sense of familiarity with the Central Plains. This made Lu Ping even more interested in the Liao family. Does Senior Liao know of any other family in the East Sea that has this life essence pill? Lu Ping asked with a frown. From Liao Ruinjia's words, Lu Ping could tell that Zhenling had been collecting life essence pill recipes for a long time. Moreover, Zhenling had probably collected almost all the life essence pill recipes in the North Sea. Sure enough, Liao Ruinjia signaled Lu Ping with his eyes and said with a wry smile, "I'm afraid only this family still has life essence pill recipes that you, Zhenling, haven't collected yet." Lu Ping turned around and saw Tianlu Laozu walking towards Xianling sect's Daoli Laozu. The two Laozus seemed to be discussing something. Not long after, Tianlu Laozu angrily left in a hurry. Daoli Laozu looked at Tianlu Laozu's back with a cold smile on his face. Liao Ruinjia pondered for a moment and briefly explained to Lu Ping, "The matter of your sect's Tiankong Laozu seems to be related to the grudge between your sect and Xianling sect. Xianling sect absolutely does not want Tiankong Laozu to live for a few more years." Of course, Lu Ping knew about this, but he still said, "Thank you for your advice, Senior Liao." Liao Ruinjia smiled embarrassedly and said, "Actually, the old man also came with a request." Lu Ping felt a little strange, but he still replied cautiously, "Senior is too polite. If Senior has any request, as long as it is within Junior's ability, I will do my best." Liao Ruinjia sternly said, "This old man has also heard about your esteemed sect's Daoist Xian senator before today. There were many alchemists in the Northern Seas alchemy world who scoffed at the spirit water pill nurturing technique. However, my Liao clan knows that this alchemy technique truly exists. Today, I wish to exchange for a spirit water vein nurturing pill that can cure Daoist Xin Sr. Oh? Lu Ping disapprovingly took out a small jade crystal box from his storage ring. Ever since Lu Ping used the Spirit Water Meridian incubating pill to save spiritual master Xian San from the brink of collapse, Jinling had attached great importance to it. Fornax Laozu directly threw a bag of spiritual herbs to Lu Ping and asked him to refine 10 pills first. What kind of person was Lu Ping? Naturally, he wouldn't hand over as many pills as he could refine. Therefore, other than the 10 pills he gave to Fornax Laozu, Lu Ping kept 3 for himself. Fornax Laozu didn't even ask. Liao Ruinjia looked at the jade crystal box in Lu Ping's hand. Lu Ping used a see-through technique, and Liao Ruinjia could see the Spirit Water Meridian incubating pill through the surface of the jade crystal box. A trace of joy immediately appeared on his face. However, when he saw the disapproving expression on Lu Ping's face, he hesitated for a moment and said to Lu Ping, "Little friend, I'm afraid you still don't know the value of the Spirit Water Meridian incubating pill, right?" Lu Ping was startled. "What do you mean, senior?" After your esteemed sect's Taoist master Xian San, in recent years, several core forging enlightened masters from various sects in the North Sea were ambushed by the demon clan. Although a few of them were lucky enough to escape, they also lost all of their blood vessels and lost all of their cultivation. 3 of them died when their cultivation collapsed and their lifespans ran out. 4 of them barely managed to stay alive, but they were struggling at death's door and didn't have many days left. The demon clan's strange divine ability has already caused fear in the hearts of cultivators from various sections. After all, it's normal to have casualties when fighting against demon clan cultivators. But now, once they are injured, their cultivation will be destroyed. How can this not make the cultivators of the various sects feel restrained? Hearing Liao Ruinjia's words, Lu Ping was puzzled. If that's the case, our sect's Uncle Master Xian Sen's cultivation should have been restored long ago. The sects should have already known about it. Why do so many people seem to not agree with the spiritual water pill incubating technique at the beginning? Some of them don't even know about it. That kid has always been proud and arrogant. This can be considered a lesson for him to learn that there's always someone better out there. Since he won't die for the time being, it's better to let him live for a few more days to learn. Right now, they can't wait for junior brother Tiankong to die as soon as possible, so as to reduce our sect's strength. Perhaps it was because Lu Ping had helped Jinling gain face in the North Sea Palace this morning, and even ruthlessly ridiculed Wei Shiren, the new alchemist grandmaster. Thus, Tian Shuelaozu's impression of Lu Ping had improved a lot. When she reminded Jiang Tianlin and Lu Tianling again, she no longer called Lu Ping crazy lass and bastard brat. So what? Don't forget that time when our sect and Xianling sect had just taken back the Sunrise Island's medium-sized spiritual mine from the demon race. It had fallen into Xianling sect's hands. Although we had defeated Xianling sect, it could still be considered as an alliance. Lu Ping's face was expressionless, but his ears were perked up. He did not miss a single word that the 2 Laozus had said. The fact that the 2 Laozus did not hide anything during their conversation was already a testament to Lu Ping's current status. However, this did not mean that Lu Ping could ask about some of the sect's secrets. These things could only be collected by Lu Ping bit by bit, accumulated, organized, and judged. The 2 Laozus would not answer some questions for you, as they were afraid that your first impression would be the strongest and affect your judgment. When Tianlu Laozu heard Tian Shui Laozu's words, a look of hatred appeared on his face as he said, "That's right." However, even if senior brother Tian Kong has unfortunately fallen, Tianlin and the other 2 are not to be trifled with. When they were in the late core forging stage, they were able to kill Dao Kong together, and now they are able to fight against Dao Yin, who is in the mid-Dharma stage. In the end, it still ended in a draw. It's a pity that senior brother Tian Kong is only 1 step away from the mid-Dharma stage. As long as he crosses this threshold, his lifespan will increase by 200 years, and our sect will definitely be able to suppress Xianling sect in all aspects. However, It just so happened that before he could advance to the mid-Dharma stage, his lifespan was about to run out. Tian Shuelaozu shook her head and said, Junior brother Tianlu, you have not advanced to the mid-Dharma stage, so you don't know the difference between the early and mid-Dharma stage. Don't think that those two little enemies might be able to go further than me, or even senior brother Tianxiang in the future. However, how many years has it been since they advanced to the Dharma stage? Even if they joined forces, they might not be able to defeat Dao Yin. At most, they would be like Tian Fan and I in the past, desperately trying to protect ourselves from that old man Dao Sheng's attacks. Back then, junior brother Tian Kong was only a few years behind Dao Yin, so he was one step slower in advancing to the mid-Dharma stage. If junior brother Tian Kong was also a mid-Dharma stage adept at that time, how would Dao Yin be able to force him to the point where he had to use his life force? The two Laozus sighed helplessly. They were both a little worried. Lu Ping opened his mouth and was about to say something, but unexpectedly, Tianlu Laozu saw his expression and asked, What did you talk about with the two rascals from the Liao and Ai families today? Liao Ruinjia and Ai Zhong were both adepts who had been cultivating for 300 to 400 years. In the North Sea, they were famous alchemy masters. However, in the eyes of Tianlu Laozu, they were all juniors. After all, once a practitioner advanced to the early Dharma stage, they would have a lifespan of at least 8 to 1,000 years. With Tianlu Laozu's years of cultivation and status, it was obvious that he was treating the two of them differently when he acted like an elder. Lu Ping did not hesitate and told them the details of the deal he had with the two of them. When Tianlu Laozu heard about the bone-forging pill, he seemed to be deep in thought. He said, From the refining style of this pill, it really has the style of Middle Earth. Could it be that the Liao family really has some connection with Middle Earth? Tian Shuelaozu's mouth twitched. How could there be a lack of adepts or clans from Middle Earth who fled overseas to avoid calamity? What's there to fuss about? Back then, didn't the founder of our sect, Laozu, also come from Middle Earth? However, you really dare to accept any kind of benefit. At that girl Tianling's Dharma idol gathering, you gave 3,000-year-old spirit monster peaches as a birthday gift in front of everyone, and that Liao Ruinjia immediately gave you a bone-forging dance pill recipe. He really doesn't hide his good intentions. Tianlu Laozu pondered and said, Perhaps this is the Liao family's brilliance. Without Dharma idol Laozu overseeing, the Liao family still managed to survive for over 1,000 years in the Northern Sea. Naturally, the Liao family has its own outstanding points. Tian Shuelaozu felt a little heartache. Pointing at Lu Ping's nose, he asked, Brat, to think that your teacher is called Lu Tianling. You don't even know how to extort money. Do you know how much your spiritual water meridian nourishing pill is worth? Just 3 sets of spiritual herbs and 18 high-grade spiritual stones for 2 of your pills. In the future, when your cultivation rises, how would we old fellows dare to let you be the head of the Jinling family? Wouldn't you squander away all the inheritance that has been passed down for over 10,000 years? When Tian Shuelaozu saw Lu Ping's silly smile, she showed a distressed expression as she started to calculate for him. This spiritual water meridian nourishing pill technique, in the entire Northern Sea, only you know how to do it, right? You're the only one who knows how to cure the demon race's injuries that can break a cultivator's meridians, right? Furthermore, in this period of time, the demon race frequently injured cultivators. Among the demon race cultivators, there are quite a number of them who have grasped this strange divine ability, right? What does a core forging cultivator's cultivation mean to a sect or a family? Is it something that can be exchanged for with 18 high-grade spiritual stones? Lu Ping asked carefully, Then how many items do you want to exchange for it? Tian Shuelaozu didn't answer Lu Ping's question. Instead, she looked at Tianlu Laozu and asked, Junior brother Tianlu, tomorrow is the time for the treasure exchange, right? Why don't you release 1 or 2 spiritual water meridian nourishing pills? The starting price for each pill is at least 1 natural oddity. Lu Ping's silly smile froze. This Laozu was truly valiant. The moment he opened his mouth, 1 natural oddity, and that was just the starting price. Frankly speaking, the cost of concocting the spiritual water meridian nourishing pill wasn't much different from an ordinary late-stage core forging pill. It was just that using spiritual water to concoct the pill was too unimaginable. Furthermore, the effect of the pill was so effective that it gave Tian Shuilaozu the opportunity to ask for an exorbitant price. Lu Ping saw that even Tianlu Laozu's mouth twitched when he heard Tian Shuilaozu's price. However, after thinking about it, he nodded his head without any hesitation. This caused Lu Ping to feel heartache for the 2 spiritual water meridian nourishing pills that he had to exchange today. In fact, what Tian Shuilaozu said wasn't wrong at all. If they really met a late-stage core forging cultivator like Dawa Xinsan, it would be worth it for a sect to exchange a spiritual water meridian nourishing pill for a spiritual water meridian nourishing pill. However, if it really reached that stage, Jinling's sect would definitely be suppressed by the cultivators of the Northern Sea. In the end, Tianlu Laozu still spoke a few good words for Lu Ping. No matter what, the 2 sects took the initiative to express their goodwill, and little brat Lu Ping did them a favor. This is ultimately a good thing for our sect. After all, the Liao clan has over 1,000 years of alchemy heritage. They are not to be trifled with. They have some connections in the Northern Sea. As for the AI clan, they have Fa Xiang Laozu as their leader. They have long been the target of our sect's recruitment. Giving them 2 spiritual water meridian nourishing pills is worth it. Tian Shuilaozu glanced at Lu Ping, no longer harping on this matter. Instead, she turned around and said something that shocked Lu Ping. The 5 major sects of the Eastern Sea have sent people over. A group of 10 people has arrived at Xinling's sect. Tianlu Laozu's originally gloomy expression became even more unsightly. With a muffled voice, he said, "The Demon's Alliance is already a foregone conclusion. Even the people of the Eastern Sea can't sit still. Xinling's sect is still the #1 sect in the Northern Sea." Tian Shuilaozu's expression turned serious, which was rarely seen. It's because of Daoshang. Because of his late-stage Dharma cultivation, in the eyes of the sects of the Eastern Sea, a sect without a grand cultivator to guard it is ultimately a second-rate sect. Senior brother Tian Xiang, Tian Shuilaozu's expression was a little uneasy as she said, "It should be soon." Chapter 423. Lu Ping and Fornax Laozu were sitting cross-legged in the North Sea Palace. An alchemy grandmaster was holding something in his hand and introducing it to the master of the palace. Lu Ping, on the other hand, was watching with great interest, while Fornax Cauldron Patriarch was disdainful. Clearly, he didn't like the things displayed by the cultivators on the stage. The cultivator on the stage held a piece of high-grade mysterious gray iron in his hand. However, this mysterious gray iron was not an ordinary high-grade spiritual material. This was because mysterious gray iron was a spiritual material that was commonly used to refine high-grade pill furnaces. Therefore, it was reasonable for the mysterious gray iron to appear in the alchemist assembly. In the end, this piece of dark gray iron was traded for by a newly promoted alchemy grandmaster like Lu Ping. Seeing the surprised expression on the newly promoted alchemy grandmaster's face, it was obvious that this grandmaster didn't have a high-grade pill furnace in his possession. Next, several alchemy grandmasters took turns to show off their treasures. At the same time, they stated their intentions for the exchange. There were many kinds of treasures. Some were for pill furnaces, some for rare spirit herbs, and some for 3,000-year-old spirit herbs. As for all kinds of rare and strange fire seeds, pill furnaces, pill recipes, fire control techniques, alchemy inheritances, and so on, they gave Lu Ping a lot of insight. Just as Lu Ping was thinking about what he should show off and trade for, a cultivator who looked to be in his 50s or 60s walked up slowly and took out a black block of earth the size of a wash basin from his storage magic tool. The old cultivator said, "This is a high-grade dark-level spirit stone. I hope to trade it for a pill that can help you break through to the Dharma phase." Finally, a heaven and earth spirit treasure appeared. Moreover, it was an earth attribute heaven and earth spirit treasure that was rarely seen in the Endless Sea Islands. Moreover, it was a high-grade profound ranked heaven and earth spirit treasure. For cultivators who needed to break through to the mid-core forging realm, this was a very suitable heaven and earth spirit treasure. Lu Ping's eyes lit up. Only now did he realize that this old cultivator was actually a peak core forging stage cultivator. From the pill that he wanted to trade for, this person's golden core was at least a 6th grade. Although the alchemists present couldn't use a high-grade dark-level spirit stone, everyone had a younger generation behind them. Therefore, it attracted the attention of many alchemists present. Some of them couldn't help but move their lips, as if trying to communicate with the old cultivator on the stage. The old cultivator also listened carefully, but in the end, he regretfully refused. His face was full of regret. At this moment, Lu Ping's expression changed. He secretly patted his chest and imperceptibly. Then, like the other alchemists beside him, he carefully probed the dark jade stone in the old cultivator's hand with his divine sense. At the same time, his eyes flashed and a green light flashed across his face. Lu Ping turned to Fornax Laozu and asked in a low voice, "Uncle Master, does our sect have any pills that can help break through to the transcendent stage?" Fornax Laozu looked at Lu Ping in surprise. "You want this dark jade stone?" Lu Ping nodded and said, "Disciple has a demonic pet under me. Although it hasn't reached the core formation realm yet, Earth attribute spirit items are extremely rare in the North Sea. Disciple wants to trade it for a rainy day." Fornax Laozu snorted. There are many early core forging stage cultivators in the North Sea who are stuck at a bottleneck because of spirit stones. You, on the other hand, even your pet needs to prepare for a rainy day. Hasn't your Luan caused you enough trouble? Lu Ping smiled bitterly and didn't say anything. Fornax Laozu said, "Your Luan isn't simple. It has a lot to do with the fire Luan race of the East Sea. Be careful, don't let others find you." Lu Ping's heart skipped a beat, but he immediately realized something. Lu Qin had been running around Tianling Mountain with Jiang Xinxian, so it would be strange if Shenling sect didn't investigate this core forging realm monster cultivator's background. In front of an avatar great ancestor, with Lu Qin's current strength, there was nothing she could hide. When he looked up, he saw that the old cultivator on the stage had a hint of joy on his face. He respectfully came before the ancestor of the Forsaken Cauldron ancestor. Under the surprised gazes of the other ancestors, he handed a piece of dark jade stone to the ancestor of the Forsaken Cauldron ancestor. The ancestor of the Forsaken Cauldron ancestor gave him a jade bottle and said, "Whether or not you succeed depends on your luck." The old cultivator thanked him profusely. Fornax Laozu waved his hand, and the old man hurriedly retreated. Fornax Laozu handed the dark jade stone to Lu Ping. Only then did the other sect's Laozu withdraw their puzzled gazes. However, Fornax Laozu's voice rang out in Lu Ping's ears. "Little fellow, I've exchanged for the Spirit Water Meridian nourishing pills. I've also prepared 10 furnaces of blood-condensing pills for you. As for some other core forging medicinal pills, you have to refine them as soon as possible. Also, when you have time, go to the monastery to practice your sword and raise your juniors." Lu Ping bitterly smiled and nodded. There really was no way to get this spiritual item for free. Once he returned, he would be very busy. However, he didn't have time to think about that right now. It was time for Lu Ping to reveal his treasures. Lu Ping needed a lot of things, but the treasures he could take out to exchange were very few. The rest were mostly spiritual items. Lu Ping naturally wouldn't take them out in this kind of situation. After thinking about it, Lu Ping decided to keep a low profile. He had already attracted a lot of attention in this gathering, so there was no need for him to attract too much attention. Lu Ping took out 18 3,000-year-old spirit herbs. He wanted to exchange them for a wood attribute, fire attribute, or wind attribute natural treasure. If that didn't work, he could also exchange them for high-grade spirit stones. Unexpectedly, these 18 3,000-year-old spirit herbs attracted the attention of the North Sea Palace's alchemists. Someone was immediately willing to pay 18 high-grade spirit stones, but then someone else shouted out 36 high-grade spirit stones. Ever since the large spirit mine on Frost Island began to be excavated, the shortage of spirit stones in the North Sea Palace had been alleviated to a certain extent. High-grade spirit stones were also more abundant, which made these North Sea Palace alchemists feel very generous. Lu Ping didn't expect that his dozen 3,000-year-old spirit herbs would be so crazily fought over by everyone. However, he immediately understood that spirit herbs were items that could be used by everyone. They weren't like spiritual items, which not only depended on grade, but also attribute, which was really troublesome. Of course, the 3,000-year-old spirit herbs themselves were also good items that alchemists would crave for. In the end, these dozen 3,000-year-old spirit herbs were exchanged for by a Lao Tzu of the Ocean Flame sect with a wind-like object and 18 high-grade spirit stones. Lu Ping was secretly delighted and excitedly returned to Fornax Lao Tzu's side. However, he heard Fornax Lao Tzu snort coldly and said, "If you need a natural treasure, you can use your 3,000-year-old spirit herbs to exchange with our sect. Why give it to an outsider?" Lu Ping shrugged and didn't say anything. After obtaining the 7 treasures Thunder Calabash, the existence of natural treasures became a bottomless pit for Lu Ping. Currently, Lu Ping could already nurture 4 kinds of thunders of metal, water, earth, and ice from the Thunder Calabash. He had also collected 2 kinds of wood attribute mysterious items. Only the fire and wind attribute mysterious items were still the first kind, but now with this wind-like object, he wasn't too far away from the initial success of the 7 treasures Thunder Calabash. At this time, in the North Sea Palace, there were only a few Dharma Realm alchemists left who hadn't shown their treasures. This was also the climax of this alchemist gathering. After all, the wealth of Fa Xiang Lao Tzu was not something that others could compare to. In particular, the wealth of Fa Xiang Lao Tzu was to a certain extent the wealth of their respective sections. Fornax Lao Tzu's face was gloomy from the beginning. Seeing that only Fa Xiang Lao Tzu hadn't shown his treasure, he was the first to step onto the stage. Fornax Lao Tzu reached out and slapped a jade box on the stage. He coldly said, "One spirit water meridian nourishing Dan. I don't want to talk about its effects. I'm sure everyone has heard about Nephew Xin Senator. If you want to trade, bring a natural treasure, a longevity pill recipe, a top-grade spirit stone, or at least 53,000-year-old spirit herbs. 800,000-year-old spirit herbs are also fine. However, the spirit herbs must be rare and precious. Don't try to fool me with some supplementary spirit herbs." Fornax Lao Tzu's exorbitant demand shocked Lu Ping. Who would be willing to pay such a high price for a spirit water meridian nourishing Dan? The value of the treasure that Fornax Lao Tzu was asking for was at least 15 times the value of the Dan itself. However, to Lu Ping's surprise, the moment Fornax Lao Tzu's words fell, the Ling Gu sect's alchemy grandmaster took out a storage pouch and said that there were 800,000-year-old spirit herbs inside that he wanted to trade for this Dan. Meanwhile, Hai Yin sect's Lao Tzu directly took out a mid-grade mystic-ranked natural treasure. However, in the end, it was still exchanged by the Shui Yin Pavilion with 3 ordinary jade-like stones. Lu Ping knew that the 3 ordinary jade-like stones were top-grade spirit stones. He had one himself. Lu Ping suddenly felt that someone was staring at him. When he turned his head, he just happened to see Liao Ruinjia and Ai Zhong nodding at Lu Ping with gratitude. Lu Ping also smiled at the 2 of them, but his heart was bleeding. The 2 spirit water meridian nourishing Dan that he exchanged with them was practically free. Many other cultivators also looked at Lu Ping with doubtful gazes. They seemed to be wondering if this Dan was made by Lu Ping. After all, when the North Sea Palace opened yesterday, Lu Ping had revealed his ability to refine pills with spirit water. However, the majority of people still believe that this Dan was made by Fornax Lao Tzu. Not to mention the fact that the Spirit Water Meridian Nourishing Dan was extremely difficult to refine. The Spirit Water Meridian Nourishing Dan itself was equivalent to a late-stage core forging pill. The cultivators in the North Sea Palace did not believe that Lu Ping's alchemy skills had reached such a level. Moreover, if it was Lu Ping who refined it, then the person who showed off the treasure should be Lu Ping. After that, Fornax Lao Tzu did not leave the stage. Instead, he took out another jade box and said, "There is one more here. The conditions remain the same. Longevity pill recipe first." The cultivators in the North Sea Palace were stunned, but they did not say anything. Fornax Lao Tzu showing off treasures in succession was against the rules, but the rules were set by the Lao Tzu. No one would cause trouble for the Laozu over such a trivial matter. Moreover, the spirit water meridian nourishing Dan was the only pill that could restrain the strange magical abilities of the demon cultivators. In recent years, the sects in the North Sea had fought against the demon race, and many cultivators had been destroyed by this strange magical ability. The second spirit water meridian nourishing Dan was traded by a grandmaster from the Songhai sect with two kinds of mid-grade mystic class origin treasures. The Songhai sect's cultivator was at the 6th stage core forging realm and was about to advance to the late stage core forging realm. Who would have thought that such a disaster would happen to him? Unexpectedly, after Fornax Laozu showed off two treasures in succession, he did not lose face. Instead, he sneered in the direction of the Xianling sect. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.